Hello and welcome to Nice and Blunt. My name is Adam Riancho. Today is Monday, March 16th, 5:20 p.m. Pacific time. Time for another best ball stream. Time for some more underdog drafts. Let us begin. Good to be back. We did not stream yesterday. Almost went live like close to midnight, but I was too tired. Unfortunately, did not get it in time, but had a fun weekend, had a good stream Saturday morning. If you check that out, we had a pretty good team, if you ask me, drafting with Mike Cunt in that one. That one was interesting. But one quick promo before we get going. If you're a new customer, if you would like to sign up for Underdog, I do have an option to get some free bonus cash. Sign up code BLUNT. Link is in the description. Once you play your first 5, you get $50 in extra bonus funds. Promo code BLUNT, only available for new customers. However, most of y'all already have an account. So that is where we're not going to spend too much time on that. Let's move over to today's point of interest. The reason we're here, we're drafting a big board team. Let's see if the location error comes up or not. I think we're going to be fine. I'm going to hop in 3, 2, 1. Let's give it a try. And it looks like it's working. 8 spots left in this lobby. If you would like to draft with me, hop on in if you care. If you just want to watch, if you just want to spectate, that's also perfectly fine. And yeah, appreciate you all joining us. We got Scott in here in the chat. Sweet, that filter is working correctly. And appreciate you, Scott. You're in here pretty much every time. I feel like, in general, Scott is usually the first commenter. So really appreciate Scott. If anything, maybe Scott should be one of the moderators. Perhaps he should be. But let's put up a poll. What do y'all want for the second draft? Little board for $3 or a big board for 10. Let us find out. But this is taking a minute to fill. We're still waiting on 7. So this is not going very fast at all, in all honesty. But we have Jonathan in here. Yo, what's good, Jonathan? Nice to see you, man. It's been a minute. Appreciate you hopping in. We're waiting on 6 now. So sweet. This lobby is filling. And Hartman, who also is going live later. I believe you're going live in an hour or so. Last I checked, I believe Hartman will be live later. So head over to Hartman's channel, give him a sub, give him a like, and support other creators in this community. We all have a lot of great takes, a lot of good voices. Speaking of which, Fantasy Football Garage, head over to his channel. We, barring any odd setback, knock on wood, if everything goes to plan, we have the Fantasy Football Garage joining us on Thursday night's live stream. That's going to be exciting. Looking forward to that. And hopefully we can have not just him, but many other voices in the space as well. Yeah. Oh, you're in this draft? Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah, man. Gonna go against the Candyman tonight. That should be fun. Appreciate the shout out. No worries, man. And I gotta hit you up on X soon. I am trying to figure out my schedule, trying to branch out and get some more people on the channel, do some more collabs, and we hopefully will be in touch soon. It was a bit busy over the weekend, but yeah, would love to get in touch with you over on X soon. But no worries, man. No worries at all. But yes, on Thursday we're all set. Sounds great. Really looking forward to that. If you are interested in a preview on what Thursday night might have to offer, head over to Fantasy Football Garage's channel. We had a collab a week ago before he was on vacation, a little over a week ago, where I believe the title is Jameer Gibbs at the 101 ? That was a fun draft. That was a fun stream. Had some good teams. Passed on Bijan at the 102 in the second. We pulled the 102 in both, and I was like, fuck it, I want to have a different team. But in all honesty, I wish I did not pass on Bijan. the second time around. But for sure, Hartman, I will be in touch after this live stream is concluded, and I will hit you up as soon as I can. But Bukowski, let's smoke this draft. We did take a little rip. And you know what? I'm saving this for sometime soon. But I did get a pre-roll last time I went to this dispensary, and I think our next live stream that's just us, just me and y'all. I think we will smoke that. I think I wanted to save that for one of the live streams, and that is the plan. So we'll just have that that burning the whole time. But Fantasy Football Garage says Hartman equals a fish. If you see that guy in your room, it's a 311. Love the camaraderie. No, we drafted with Hartman before. I believe on Saturday Hartman was in one of the lobbies, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it was a different one, but I'm pretty sure I remember looking back on Hartman's team and really liking it. But there was one where I thought he got lucked out. He got Evans to fall to him once at pick 71. That was pretty nice. That was like a few days before Evans signed. That was a sweet value there. But we're coming up on the clock. We got the 106 in here. I recognize... I think I've seen Big Truckin' before. I don't recognize too many other people, but we're all right. Kind of an odd situation, but I have a shit ton of Amon-Ra. I'm going to pull up Jefferson. Not saying it's correct. I would say my personal rankings still have Amon-Ra over Jefferson, but Jefferson's rising quickly, and I was a little bit late to the party on fully believing in Jefferson's round 1-2 turn ADP. That was a little bit hard for me to click about a month ago, not going to lie. So I'm trying to catch up with Jefferson, and I'm also trying out a few more early elite wide receiver teams. And on this side of the board, maybe we will just ensure that we are not sniped on Kyler Murray, if that is the decision I want to go with. But at pick 6, I think you can really go in any direction. I really don't think that pick 5 is that definitive. JSN makes the most sense at pick 5, but you can really take almost anyone. Anyone that you really want to pull up, I don't think is the most insane thing to do. If you want to be at pick 6 and go CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, and not have to pay like a massive premium on both ADPs, that's something I've done before in the stream. Haven't done it in a long time. It's been several weeks since we've tried that. It's not amazing. It's not atrocious. It's fine. At pick 6, I think there's a lot of question marks, and you can really do whatever you want. But we could just take Derrick Henry here. That would also be fine, but we do have neighbors on the thumbnail. Let's go double elite wide receiver. Let's mix it up. Let's see how this works out for us. We've seen 0 wide receiver, 0 RB teams, 0 running back teams recently on the stream, and we have shit-talked them like crazy, whether they were mine or other people's. We have seen the mistake of investing too much in receiver too early on Underdog these days. But there's nothing wrong, I think, with starting out wide receiver. I think it can absolutely work. You just can't wait too long before you get some other running backs and other positions on the roster. So can't fall behind at running back too much. We are a little bit behind the 8 ball, but look at every pick before us. There was a massive run on the position. Trey McBride went at pick 12. Damn. That is a bummer to see him go above Neighbors and still not get a good value that we like. But I wouldn't have hated Derrick Henry there at all. But I do think Neighbors is an excellent, phenomenal round 2 click. With Jefferson now clearly in round 1, I think Neighbors is the last true name that you could argue deserves to be a round 1 click. If it wasn't for injury last year, we were definitely taking him there. He fell a little bit later, but good quarterback play is expected, best of his career when you really think about it. And as a rookie, he played 15 games, 170 targets, missed 2 games with a concussion. And then last year, we all remember the ACL tear. He went down in week 4. But Allen gets taken. Yikes. This is unfortunate. I'm just going to go triple receiver, and then we are accepting our fate. Sadly, accepting our fate. But love to see Mayor McShip it right behind us have to pull up Ladd because they did not get AJ Brown. Love to see that. That would have been a gift. Not on board with Breece Hall here compared to some other names. Would rather have AJ Brown and Josh Allen over Breece Hall. Was really hoping I could get Travis Etienne there. That was the name I wanted the most. Travis Etienne would have, I think, completed the team in a comfortable way. There are definitely some teams in this tournament that have Etienne in the 4th that maybe have Jefferson and Neighbors as well. That's possible to have. Just a month ago, it definitely was possible. But AJ Brown, Jefferson, and Neighbors, given where Jefferson has gone for the most part of this tournament, it's probably not that common. Because AJ Brown falls at times, but rarely past like pick 32. And I'm probably not the only team with this 3 to start, but it is pretty strong and feels fairly legit. Kyron goes at pick 40. Would have liked to see Kyron circle back. That would have been interesting. But speaking of interesting, maybe we make this draft more interesting. And do I just take Bucky here at pick 4? Yeah, fuck it. Fuck it. Let's do it. Am I convinced that Bucky is absolutely the best click? Not 100%, but at pick 43, 10 passed in the mid 4th round. That feels pretty legit. Oh, is my mouse fucking with me again? There we go. Sorry. The last draft we did, the mouse was wilding out. Really pissing me off. But at the very least, I did get the cheapest price on Bucky Irving I've ever seen. So I am very happy that I passed on AJ Brown. I saw a similar tier at running back there. Kyron absolutely at the top of it. Kyron would have been my preference. But Byshel Tootin going at pick 45. Wow, that's pretty high. Javonte, pick 44. That's pretty normal now. But there was a time in this contest when he was going in the 60s, late 50s, back when he was a free agent. And then Breece Hall, I'm not a believer in round 3. I'll take Breece in the 4th, but he never falls that late. That's what I think his price should be, and it's not at the moment. So at least for being unique, like, yeah, this is pretty dope. And Scott Young absolutely making an awesome point here. This is something I've just never seen in terms of a price on Bucky. Like, I think for him to go top of the 4th is a bit more appropriate, but after pick 40, that's pretty crazy, especially when, as Scott's pointing out, he was going at the 2-3 turn. He was going as early as pick 23 at times in this contest. And they did move off of Rachaad White. They brought in Chris Rodriguez. Sean Tucker, I believe, is still there, right? And now Travion fell. I mean, yeah. This is why you keep drafting in the tournament. This is why you keep drafting in the tournament. Because a month ago, you could have never gotten this team. You could have really never, like, Irving, you would have had to draft in the 3rd. You would have had to take Travion in the 4th. And we would be swapping out, you know, Jefferson for a different player. But we'd also be getting DJ Moore here. Let's say Christian Watson or Jalen Waddle instead of AJ Brown in the 3rd. Like, this is an interesting start. If this is going to be his new price, I'll be drafting him a lot more. I still believe in his upside. He's still capable of really, really crushing. Like, last year, the reason why he was going so high is because we thought that Rachaad White just wasn't going to get many touches anymore. And he didn't quite pay off, but, like, he's still talented as fuck. Could just take the falling price on RJ Harvey if I want. That's not egregious. I mean, like, yeah. Fuck it. Like, this is a team you could have 100% gotten if you, like, just pulled up Jefferson to the 106 in the past. But you would have taken Bucky in the 3rd, Travion in the 4th, and, like, Harvey in the 5th. Like, this is definitely a unique way to go about it. And like, we started so heavy on receiver, I knew that this thing could go off the rails if I didn't take a bunch of running backs, but like, to have Bucky, Travion, and RJ Harvey through round 6 feels pretty solid. Do I have like a clear top 5 option? Of course not. But like, these are spike week guys. These are guys that can just filter out 20 plus point weeks over and over again, mixing and matching. I feel pretty solid. I still think the depth needs to be good at running back on this team, but like, to have Jefferson, Neighbors, AJ Brown, and then feel kind of like I'm in contention at running back as soon as round 6, I would say this team feels like it has a shot to be competitive. But gotta land the plane. We're only around 7 at the moment, and QB is being a little bit faded. I did pass on Lamar. He goes pick 55, and then that team with Daniels, Burrow is interesting. Have a team like that with Jiri. We drafted with Jiri about 2.5 weeks ago. Gotta have Jiri back on the channel soon. Teams with Jiri absolutely hit. As he would say, they fuck. They are really, really dope teams. And one of them was interesting with T. Higgins and Terry McLaurin paired up with Jaden Daniels and Joe Burrow. Probably at like the 10 pick as well. That one was interesting. I think we started like James Cook Achane on that one. But back on the clock. I mean, at the moment, I think I'm just going to grab the falling value on Jalen Hurts. Like, this is an odd draft where I'm just literally taking top of ADP every single time. But I feel like I'm getting fucking awesome prices on everyone. Like, and at the moment, AJ Brown is an Eagle. Last I checked, he is with the Eagles. So this is fully warranted. Absolutely. Yeah, let's do that. All right. Bucky 2 picks away from Tootin is cooked. Definitely compared to the price a month ago when Baishal Tootin was going pick 77 and Bucky Irving was going pick 30. Yeah, this feels like definitely the way to be going about it. I wish I was taking more Baishal Tootin when he was pick 70, pick 74. I can't claim I capitalized enough on that. But to take Bucky Irving at this price feels better, that's for sure. I wonder how much further he could fall. That's the only thing I'm wondering. 2 Mules in a Cart says, with the signing of Jeremy McNichols, Washington now has 4 pedestrian or running backs. That's pretty crazy. They're attacking it with volume. That's where I think Rachaad White could be one of the leaders in the clubhouse. JCM is fine, but like the pass protection skills of Rachaad White, I don't think are beaten by anybody else in that backfield enough to keep him off the field enough. Like, I'd feel pretty good about it, but could take Dak Prescott at a slightly falling value, but this entire lobby is fading that position. So I'm going to get in at wide receiver before it's too late. That's a position I also don't want to neglect like crazy. And the floor of Wandale here is just like super, super valuable. But I could have taken the shot that he circled back. Some of these teams on the turn have considerable investment as well at wide receiver. There was a click I really liked instead that I kind of am regretting, in all honesty. When he comes off the board, I'll say it, but there's a hope and a chance. I've never seen him fall that far, but maybe I get him at 102. Yo, what's up, Crossface? Let's get crossed in honor of you joining the live stream. Let's take a quick smoke break. I mean, this team is also pretty fire, not gonna lie. I feel pretty good about this team, so let's celebrate real fast. All right. 2 Meals in a Cart likes Ford. I'm willing to mix him in. We took him on the live stream the other day in round 20. And at least for the price, he's definitely worth mixing in, I think. I think it is up for grabs, and Jerome Ford has an interesting skill set. If there is an injury above him, I think Ford can really capitalize and pay off quite well. But Jordan Love goes, wow, please, Pretty Ricky. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to speak it into existence and get sniped, but holy shit. If he falls back, of course he doesn't. Good job. Just taking him. Kind of want to go Jadarian. But getting the elite tight end felt pretty solid there. I'm gonna grab Laporta. But damn, Kraft there. Fuck. Kraft is who I felt like I made a mistake passing on. And he was one pick away, so maybe I really did push it a little too much, but Wandale, I think, is by far the safest receiver click in this range remaining. I like Romeo Dobbs, but I'm not convinced that the Patriots are done, so I'm not really convinced you're getting the number one receiver. In Tennessee, the re-signing of Calvin Ridley, I think, just confirms that Wandale is, like, by far and away their top option. Such good vibes with the reunion with Brian Dable. And then Cam Ward is just a talent I believe in that was in such a tough situation, had to overcome so much last year. I really believe he's going to have a good year two. The coaching that they brought in to support Cam Ward is exceptional. I really think Wandale has a true shot at putting up like top 25 numbers this year. I do believe that the Titans wide receiver room has that value, and I can legitimately argue that like Wandale is a better click than Parker Washington, Marvin Harrison, Michael Wilson, Alec Pierce, Cortland Sutton especially. Tyson and Mekhi Lemon are huge gambles at the moment. Like, you really just don't know what the landing spot is. Tennessee had a lot to offer that got you excited, and that is pretty nice in my opinion. Okay, Baker does circle back. We have Bucky. We have Hurts, but really it's just a fear of the cliff that is incoming. So I'm going to go Baker Mayfield. Got to get in on quarterback before it's too late. Got to pay up on the price. It just is what it is. And when we are past this tournament and we are into Best Ball Mania, these prices on quarterback are all going to fall. But a lot of people draft 3 quarterbacks on their team. When there's 20 rounds, you can afford to pay up a little bit more. And the cliff that is going to happen around this turn, the difference between Baker Mayfield and Malik Willis, in my opinion, is a fucking mile. And they go 3 picks apart. So got a little faller on Baker Mayfield. Can always backstack him with a few interesting options. Godwin went pick 87 to the team with Daniels and Burrow. So they did pass twice on him. That makes sense. And then the only other team with a Buccaneer has Igbuka. And then that team also passed twice. That is a bit shocking. That's a little bit odd. To pull up Igbuka at 36, Luther Burden 37, not pull up Caleb Williams, go Mekhi Lemon instead, and then go Xavier Worthy, Jadarian Price instead of Baker Mayfield is a little bit shocking. But I'll take the falling value. Bucky does catch passes. He does contribute a little bit in that department. Maybe Rachaad White leaving opens up a little bit more for him, but we do also have a potentially elite tight end. Man, this team would be so interesting if it had Kraft. Damn, that would have been awesome. That would have been fire. 1 pick away from a Kraft selection. Maybe I should get it back in at running back before it dries up. We do have Bucky, Travion, and RJ Harvey, but like it's getting slim soon. And like this is just the new price on Mike Washington. I think that's the direction I'm going to go. Yeah, let's get a running back. And then the rookie appeal. Maybe he goes to Seattle. Maybe we have the Seahawks RB1. Maybe, just maybe. But the team feels pretty strong. Really, really interesting start. Jefferson, Neighbors, and A.J. Brown risked it with that heavy commitment and then pivoted off that position for quite some time. We have Bucky Irving, Travion Henderson, R.J. Harvey, also phenomenal values. That's pretty dope. Jalen Hurts at pick 78. That one was a bit of a gift. Now let's just make the bet that A.J. Brown is just going to stay in Philadelphia. That's pretty pretty solid. But even an unstacked Hertz is totally fine. And then Wandale for the floor, I can also afford to ignore receiver for a little bit, given how strong it really is. Wandale, a little bit more of an advance rate type of guy than like a massive spike week guy. He can still get you 25 points and be the guy you need. But in general, Wandale is just a really reliable, like 8, 9, 10 target type of guy. Phenomenal in full PPR. This is half PPR, so maybe not as exciting as like a Jordan Addison. But in terms of just straight total points, Wandale in my flex is going to be very valuable over the course of the year. Goddard does go. Was hoping to get Goddard to pair with Jalen Hurts. Do not get it, unfortunately. But that's probably not the end of the world. We have Laporta already, so that's fine. And now I'm just going to get a stack with Baker Mayfield. Could take Denzel Boston. Kind of want to get a really good price, but I don't know. I'm just going to pull up Jalen McMillan. We have Baker. Just give me the stack. We got Bucky Irving, Jalen McMillan, and like the role that McMillan plays in that offense, I think his spike weeks are going to be a little bit more easily correlated with the highest spike weeks that Baker Mayfield has. Like when you're telling me the number 3 receiver is going to hit for a 40, 50-yard touchdown reception, that's going to be what pads Baker's stats on the entire game. That's where I think you might get the highest weeks when McMillan goes off. Because if Igbuka goes off like crazy, that means that the other guys didn't quite get as involved, so to speak. If Igbuka is the stack with Baker, then the other weapons might not dominate as much. If McMillan dominates, that really tells you nothing on whether or not Igbuka played well or didn't. That third receiver sometimes has the biggest correlation, because the other ones are also playing just as well as they normally do. When McMillan plays just average, it's like kind of low, but not gonna worry about that too much. Wow, Diggs circles back. I'll just take Diggs. I got Laporta, so yeah, the mic is fucking with me, but we got Diggs in the queue. Yeah, a lot of super cheap prices that you were just never spending this late of a draft price on before. Omar Cooper goes 151. I think I've seen Diggs fall a little bit further than this, but I don't think I've seen him in the 14th round. 13th round is like the cutoff point that I've seen with Diggs, who does have some legal troubles, definitely a risky type of option, but thought he was a legit click when I took Jalen McMillan. Our receiver room needs some depth, and like in general, this entire draft, we've just been taking like the tremendous falling value as it has happened. Perhaps I could have gone Cam Ward. Honestly, didn't really think about it too much, but we have Baker and Hurts. It's not the end of the world not to have Cam Ward, but a solid value click this late. We do have Wandale. That's probably who I want to be stacking the most with him. But I still got a soft spot for Chimeri DK as well. And maybe Calvin Ridley isn't the most egregious selection when you really think about it. He fell considerably far, and I don't think he'll ever bounce back. So might mix him in randomly, but intentionally if I have Cam Ward, not as just like desperately. But Scott says hit that like button. Appreciate you, Scott. Do we have it up on the screen? Yeah, there it is. The mouse is... Boy, okay. Yeah, mouse is going crazy. But Troy Franklin off the board. Woody Marks would be a really phenomenal price here, but I will just take Emmett Johnson. I think Emmett Johnson is more talented, more interesting. And similar to Mike Washington, we have a potential landing spot in the perfect zone. Okay. Yeah, the mouse is going fucking wild again. Anyways. Two Mules in a Cart says, all other streamers have poo-pooed my take of Foster Moreau possibly winning the #1 tight end job in Houston. Elite RAS score of 947. Cancer and other injuries have derailed his career. Nice pick in the 20th round. I think I'm going to pass as well. My boy with the RAS at tight end that I was like a believer in for a while was Ben Sinnott. Amazing RAS score, I believe 973 RAS score on Ben Sinnott. And those days feel long gone to believe and hype up Ben Sinnott. So they extended Schultz. I think Schultz is more talented. They also have Cade Stover, who is kind of interesting. Foster Moreau has had a few interesting games with like Derek Carr over the years, but he's just not someone that's on my radar in a considerable way. So I could see randomly it spiking, but like tight end is just so random in general. Yeah, I'm not too keen on him either. I'm not gonna lie. Could go Dalton Schultz, but that was a bit of a panic click, honestly. I think. Sorry, just as like making me think about the tight end job and just be like, no, I don't think that's gonna happen. That's where Schultz was like, okay, let's mix in Schultz here just a little bit. But I get you, man. But like, look at Ben Sinnott's RAS score and come back to me. Like, RAS is a bit hyped up a little too much. It's not egregious. It's not like it means nothing. But I think sometimes it's oversold and overleaned on as like... I would love to have a number that just quantifies how exactly an athlete's actually going to perform. I wish that some number like that genuinely existed. But in my opinion, there's just so many other factors. And like... Yeah, unfortunately, Moreau has had some tough injuries and cancer diagnosis. That's something that's tough to overcome. Like, look at James Conner. Super inspiring. Awesome what James Conner's been able to do. But it's just not like... It's also like John Mechie. You know, like, I want to root for John Mechie, but I can't pretend like John Mechie has proven anything to where, like, if I'm going to be putting money down and, like, risking it, that I know that I'm getting something legitimate out of that player when he's just never really delivered ever before. So I respect the deep dive dig and trying to find a name. I totally respect the scroll, but am I going to be clicking him? I don't think so. Not without a little more information that makes me a bit more excited. But tough that this is just like the new price on Naylor. Tight end did go off heavily, so I think I was right to take a tight end there. I'm going to pull up Cade Otton. We got the double back stack with Baker. McMillan and Cade Otton. We got a little falling value on Baker, but at quarterback, any falling value is pretty dope. When the tier break happens fast. Like, the difference between passing on Baker and not even getting CJ Stroud to come back if I had passed, that would have been gross. And then Baker did match up with Bucky, who he took in the fourth round, and then now Jalen McMillan and Cade Otton. So I have my tight end room sorted out. Laporta in round 9, one pick away from getting Tucker Kraft. That would have been awesome. Holy shit, this team would be so unique if we got Kraft there. But one pick away, passed for Wandale, and I don't think I was getting Wandale to come back. Jaden Reed went pick 98. I don't think I was getting Wandale, so that's fine. But would have been nice. We do get Baker, Malik Washington, and Emmett Johnson. Emmett Johnson picked 163. Nice price on him. Dalton Schultz for a pretty high floor to mix in with Sam Laporta. Cade Otton also a bit more of a floor play, but definitely correlated with our quarterback stack. So totally legit. And I'm just done at tight end. With Laporta, Schultz, and Otton, I'm covered up and down the board. We were interested in Goddard. Took McMillan instead. Got Diggs to fall to 150. But honestly, running back got a little bit pricey. A little sooner than I expected. Would have loved Brian Robinson there. That would have been cool. Trey Benson continues to fall like a rock. That's notable. Quarterback, Could mix into I think I'm going to mix in Ray Davis, though. Feels like that's a position of need. I think I need a 7th for sure. And Ray Davis, if he ever does get on the field as the starter, is going to dominate touches, going to be very involved in the passing game, going to operate as the RB1. Yes, Ty Johnson is there. Ty Johnson does kneecap a lot of Ray Davis's value. That's why Ray Davis was such a bad click last season. It is a split backfield there, but in the event that James Cook does go down, same argument I had last year does apply. Ray Davis would be their RB1. Super talented guy, can do it all, but James Cook is just better, and there's no reason to take James Cook off the field when he's that productive. So Ray Davis in a similar boat as Tank Bigsby, but a bit more crowded of a overall backfield behind him. With Bigsby, the reason I love him so much is you really don't have to worry about Will Shipley. It seemed like very locked in that Will Shipley is just not a legit factor for Bigsby. And then with Ray Davis, it's still the same upside. If he was the RB1 in Buffalo, it'd be just as valuable as being the RB1 in Philly randomly. But you have to worry about Ty Johnson. So goes a little bit later. Running back had a bit of a run there. Trey Benson continues to fall. Damn. But our pick is 211. Do I just take it? I don't think I take it. I think I'm going to pass again. I'll need another receiver, but I'm going to go with Tua. Going to take Tua Tagovailoa. In Atlanta, I think he could legitimately be their starting quarterback. I'm not going to trust that Michael Penix comes back from yet another injury in time. I don't know why you'd feel super confident about that. And like just the nature of how Penix has always been there. Like, yes, they're going to give Penix his shot, but Tua is going to get the most reps in training camp. Tua can deliver the ball where it needs to be. And also like the system that they want to run with Penix doesn't have to be altered for Tua. So he's just going to slot right in perfectly. Like they're both lefties. That I think is a really underrated aspect of them being on the same team as a backup for one another. But given Penix's injury concerns, I think at the moment, I'm a little bit more interested in betting on Tua as the more valuable asset. We have Jalen Hurts and Baker, so it's not like I'm critically relying on Tua very much. But if he can spike in our lineup, we've seen that offense offer a little bit of upside. Like, look at Kirk Cousins' game logs last 2 years against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He dominates them. That is a institutional trend. Kirk Cousins had some major spike weeks last 2 seasons. I think Tua could be somewhat similar, but appreciate y'all for hitting that like button. The mouse is put on a light show, and we got Young Moolah here in the chat. Welcome, my friend. What's up? What's up? Says checking in, smash the like, headed up I-5 back home now. I'll shoot you an email when I get in. Beautiful. Yes, we have a collab scheduled for tomorrow with GAB for Life, aka Young Moolah. Gonna be very fun. Gonna have him here on the channel tomorrow afternoon, and I am on the clock. But safe travels, Young Moolah. I hope you get home safe. I will be in touch. Wide receiver's looking weird. 5 seconds. I think I'll mix in Ollie Gordon. Just another handcuff with upside. If the starter goes down, they're going to get the reps. We got Bucky, Travion, and RJ Harvey. Waited till round 4 to take the #1 player, and to get Bucky there is just like such a dope option. Mike Washington, Emmett Johnson are swings with the rookies, and then Ray Davis, Ollie Gordon, handcuff value. But at least Ray Davis plays on a good offense. Ollie Gordon, maybe not as much. His quarterback might be stealing some reps. Honestly, this is one of the very few times I've clicked Ollie Gordon, and it doesn't feel very good. It feels very weak. But as the RB7, just needed a name, and there's some other names I could have pulled up, but I don't have a ton of Ollie Gordon, so it's fine. It is what it is. Wide receiver, though, super strong. Going to grab one more with our final pick. That is definitely where we're locked in. But Jefferson, Malik Neighbors, A.J. Brown in the first 3 rounds. Then we took Wan'Dale Robinson, super valuable, I think, where I took him. Jalen McMillan for that stack with Baker. And then Stephon Diggs is currently a free agent, pick 150. So 19 picks after where his current ADP does lie. We got a tremendous falling value on still a very talented player with some legal trouble, but once he signs somewhere, he could skyrocket. And honestly, I could see him just going to the Eagles potentially. I could also see him in Atlanta. I could see him be the wide receiver 2 behind Drake London. A lot of interesting spots for Stephon Diggs to wind up in. Very, very interesting. But Jahan Dotson was taken. So we'll take Tyquan Thornton. We'll mix in Tyquan. No rookie receivers on this team, just trusting the veterans. Like, let's not fuck around. Let's just take what we know is money in the bank. And then with Diggs, like, that's our variable. But, like, a known commodity and, like, proven route runner, valuable last year as a free agent, slotting in a new offense. Honestly, has really contributed well every time he changes teams. Like, his first year in Buffalo was elite. His first year in Houston wasn't that bad. Until he got hurt, he was actually playing pretty well. And then last year in New England, like, he was pretty sharp. He was not bad for what they needed him to do. So I think my receiving room is just, like, so effing strong. We're going to get a random spike week here or there from Tyquan. Like, he's not going to mix in more than 4 times this year. If I get 3, that's pretty solid. But anything more than 2 is, like, lucky with Tyquan. But when he does hit, we're going to get like 15, 19 points out of Tyquan. It's going to be like a 90-yard, 1 touchdown game on like 4 catches type of performance out of Tyquan Thornton. So for perfectly fine click, not super drafted in this tournament. So one way to get a little bit unique. And yeah, this team is really, really compelling. Got some awesome, awesome values. Let's remind you how it looked round by round, because that's, I think, where it really, really shines in full contest. But we did pull up Jefferson at the 6. His new ADP is pick 8, pick 7, and we did take him pick 6. So want to get in while I can before he's officially the 5th overall pick. Then we took Neighbors at the 19 in round 2. We got A.J. Brown because running back just dried up. Was hoping to get ETN, but said, fuck it, not going to risk it on Bucky here, or Kyron, or Brees. Just take the best receiver value. A.J. Brown pick 30 in round 3, and that's where, boy, it worked out. Mike Evans went above Bucky Irving in this draft. So did Luther Burden, Zay Flowers, Emeka Egbuka. And we got Bucky Irving to fall back at pick 43 in the middle of round 4. Phenomenal value, very unique. 1 pick above Javonte, 2 picks before Baishal Tutin. And then no other running backs were taken. I got Travion Henderson pick 54. And then a solid run on the position at running back around this turn, but RJ Harvey did fall to 67. And despite being heavily invested in J.K. Dobbins, not being a full believer in Harvey, I still think last year's range of outcomes is possible for Harvey, where Dobbins just gets hurt, goes down, and then you just have the clear RB1 that's going to get all the touchdowns in that backfield. When Harvey pops, he has that 20-plus point upside. He is a good best ball click. Not the best redraft season-long click, but typically Jalen Hurts goes in round 6. We got him in the 7th round, pick 78. His price, I think, was so clutch here, especially with the A.J. Brown stack as it stands right now. Maybe Brown does get traded, but right now I got the Eagles stack, Hurts and A.J. Brown. Then I took Wanda Robinson, almost took Tucker Kraft, but damn, I think it was worth the risk. We were 1 click away from getting Tucker Kraft in the 9th round. A bit bitter to not get that value at tight end. I wanted the best tight end available. The last one I think could finish in the top 3 at the position is Sam Laporta, so I took him there. I think he's a awesome, awesome click in general in the 9th round. And then we got Baker to stack up with Bucky, knowing I could get some other Buccaneers later on. Grab Malik Washington in round 11, my 4th running back with some upside. But that's a high price given how long this tournament has been open on Malik Washington. Have some teams where he's at pick 200. Then I grabbed Jalen McMillan kind of wanted to go Goddard as the plan, but got sniped at 137, so just took a different stacking option. Could have grabbed at Chris Rodriguez in theory. That wouldn't have been terrible. Could have grabbed at Tyrone Tracy. Wouldn't have been terrible. I kind of thought that maybe Aaron Jones or Jonathan Brooks would be there available in the next round, but they weren't. So it is what it is. Instead, Diggs falls to 150, so yet another awesome value. Then we grab Emmett Johnson, 163. There was a time when I was convinced Emmett Johnson was way better than Mike Washington. I'm not convinced that that's actually the case. And then Dalton Schultz we pulled up slightly, but there was a big run on tight end around this corner. 4 other tight ends got taken, so just get a solid contributor. Then I grabbed Kate Otten for yet another Baker stack. Ray Davis at 198, missed out on a bit of a run at the position. And then Tua, who I believe is the more valuable Falcons starter, but not a lock at all. A risky play, but interesting swing in my opinion. Paired with Ollie Gordon as our 7th running back. Don't love it, but need another guy. And then Tyquan Thornton, our 7th and final receiver. Don't need him to contribute much, but when he does, I trust it'll be in the 15-plus point territory. So, yeah, this is a very interesting team. 3-7-7-3 build. Phenomenal values on a lot of names involved. The running back position really worked out, if you ask me, out of the 6 slots. So I didn't recognize anybody else in this lobby. Nobody else had like a strategy super similar to mine, so it's hard to really compare my roster with anybody else. I guess the only other team that was that strong at receiver is the Jamar Chase Drake London team, but they took Jacob, so it's a completely different build, completely different scenario. I'm not going to worry about it too much. Let's just let's catch up with the chat real quick, and we'll draft another team. Looks like 2/3 of the poll results are favoring the big board, so that'll be our next lobby. We will hop in very shortly. Let me just catch up with the chat real fast. But 2 Meals in a Cart says, I've always liked him. Passes my eye test. Last year I was pushing Javonte Williams for that reason. Elite talent, derailed by injuries. Respect your opinion, though. I've been wrong before. You know what sucks, man? And you make a very good point to just trust your gut. Last year, in the month of May, I drafted Javonte Williams at a rate of 23%. I was very much in on Javonte Williams last year in the month of May. And then in the month of June, I started really slowing down my Javonte exposure because I heard other people's opinion on Jaden Blue, for example. I never believed in Miles Sanders, but I just thought it was a little too crowded and everyone hated on Javonte so much. I was kind of like, shit. I felt like I over committed at 20+% in such a short period of time. I backtracked on fully doubling down on Javonte Williams, and man, do I regret listening to outside opinions. Like, there was so much hype on Jaden Blue that made me feel like I was making a big mistake. And only then was I like, okay, now's the time to stop drafting Javonte Williams. So if you really feel that way, trust your intuition, trust your gut. It is a bit crowded in Houston. That's a landing spot that doesn't excite me for someone like Foster Moreau. Had to scroll back, remind myself what his first name was. But yeah, I've seen some flashes from him, but like he's been moving around so much and like only correlates well with Derek Carr. I'm just not there. But in round 20, get your guys, man. Who cares about round 20? If that's what you think, go for it. But just don't go overboard. Like, I think having him at 12.5%, 15%, if that's just really what your gut is telling you, trust it. But I don't think I'd go over that. It's very, very, very risky. Super risky, given it's crowded behind Schultz. And also, Cade Stover in Houston. Also, I don't trust Stroud. I really don't trust that passing game in the first place. But Two Mules says also like Daniel Bellinger in Tennessee in the 20th round. That's fine, but give me Cole Kmet. Absolutely. M. Stockton says Zacchaeus. We did not go Zacchaeus. That would have been an option, but I think I trust Tyquan a little bit more to give me like at least 2 or 3 games with actual value. But Two Mules says Javonte going that late is crazy. That's typically where he goes. But Goofy Chicken Fantasy, love the name, my friend. Love the name. WWs for still having little boards. Yeah, I got 3 left. I'm saving them for the lives. We will use them, but at least let's check in with people if that's actually what they want. We have 68% of the poll responders opting for a big board. So if you can, do me a favor down below. We have 39 watchers, 22 likes. I'd really appreciate if you're enjoying this, excited for the second draft, to hit that like button. Super convenient way to support the channel. Don't love to ask too often, but it means a lot, and I would really be grateful to get to 25 likes, 30 likes. That'd feel really, really solid. Would appreciate that. Absolutely. But Best Ball Q still has 2 little boards left. And yeah, to have them at this time of year, after free agency, well, it's still being clarified, feels pretty nice. But it's tough not to use them, man. It's tough not to use them. Very compelling. Hey, I'll call you back. I'm a little busy. I'll call you right back. Sorry, that was my phone. Anyways, I am ready to hop in. I'm good. If the mouse will cooperate. At the moment, it's not. Jesus. Okay. Here we go. The location error didn't hit the first time. Let's try it. Hop in 3, 2, 1. 4 spots left. If you want to hop in this lobby, 4 spots left. It is full. We filled it fast. Nice job, fellas. But I get pick 12. Fun. I think I've shown you this. Okay, so this is a free resource. This is a free resource that I'm about to show you called The Solver. TheSolver.com is a product of ETR, and this is a feature they have that's completely free where you can download from Underdog your CSV exposures, upload it into this website. I'm sure they want the data. That's why this tool is free, but then it lets you check all of your exposures and basically like see certain teams. Super, super valuable. But if we go down to my portfolio, it's going to show you just the luck on which picks I've gotten. It was bound to happen. I only have 3 teams out of the 12 slot. The average right now would be 7. The expected average is 7. So less than half of the time I should be getting pick 12. I have gotten pick 12 today. Sadly, it did happen. It happened it happened on Saturday too. I got pick 12, but I'm pretty thin on picks 4, 1, 3, and 6. Those are picks that I don't get too often. We just got a pick 6, so that's dope. But I really need some early picks in the top 4 to really balance things out. But it was bound to happen. I was bound to get something. I'm really experienced in the 8 slot, in the 10 slot, in the 9, and the 5. The 5 you can get weird as well. But yeah, if you're drafting in the 8, that's an ideal spot for me. I know what I'm doing a little bit more than some other spots. So an interesting tool, also allows you to check your exposures and go back on teams, show you what their current ADP is on top of your average draft pick as well. Like currently, high exposure guy that I have a lot of value on is Omar Cooper Jr. and Rachaad White. Both I was averaging a full 2 rounds less expensive than what their current ADP is. Like with Rachaad White, my average click was 156. With him right now, he's going 132. So that was dope. I don't have to chase him up the board as much right now. And then Omar Cooper Jr. average, I took him 178. Meanwhile, current ADP 153. So those are 2 nice picks. I am really down though on Emmett Johnson in terms of average ADP. He has fallen 29 picks. My average click was 130. Currently 159. So just something to track a little bit more in depth than what Underdog has to offer. And it is free. So that's definitely a good selling point to include this. But you do have to manage uploading your CSV exposures all the time. And this is not an ad, by the way. This is just something I use. Just thought I'd mention it. Especially the rate of which pick I'm getting, I find very interesting. How, like, you know, my frequency with pick 12 versus pick 8, for example, is rather notable. But okay. After I take this pick, We will see who else is in the lobby with us. I see Nat Ball and King of QC as well. James Cook does go. So I think I'll mix in Genty for sure. Don't have a shit ton of Genty. And then I'm just going to stay boring and balanced and whatevs. I'll just also pair him with Hampton. Let's prevent getting boxed out of running backs. So that's where we go. We go Genty and Hampton. I see King of QC in at the 11 right ahead of us. Nat Ball in at the 9. He goes with CD Lamb. I see Bryson Anderson in at number 7. I see Alex in here at 3. I also see Doc in here at 2. And then apologies if I do not recognize you. I feel like maybe taking dollars sounds familiar out of the 10 slot. They just took Trey McBride after Jefferson. But apologies if I did not catch you. The mouse is going berserk again. But appreciate you, Fantasy Dog, for hitting that like button. Number 28 like. Very much appreciate it. And then Alex W, yeah, in here at the 103 takes Puka. Nice to see you, my friend. Welcome in. But music is still rocking. Maybe I'll pump up the volume just a little bit. Yeah, we can make that just a little. Whoops. I grabbed the okay, there we go. There we go. I grabbed the level adjuster, and then the mic just held on for dear life. The mouse, excuse me. The mouse is messing with me. Have I been saying mic this whole time? Apologies. Apologies, but let's take a quick smoke break. If that wasn't a reminder that we're high. Okay. A few misfires with the mouse. Got to get back on track. But currently, I'm one of 4 teams that go RB to start. Never feels like the wrong decision in these drafts. Like, if anything, the decisions that make me scary are what Alex did and Team 10 did. Going receiver, tight end is where I get a little bit worried. Having that elite tight end is phenomenal, but sometimes you can really look back on it and be like, damn, I wish I had somebody else in a different spot. But if you are going to pass on a lot of running back values early, you should be probably taking high-end draft picks at other positions. So I don't really like the structure of a second-round tight end personally, but if there was ever a time where either McBride or Bowers ever fell to you in the 3rd, I think you got to take him. And the reason why, like, the backstop is what it is because those teams at 301 and 302 shouldn't really be getting those clicks in the first place. Like, you shouldn't really give them that chance. So, like, it forces your hand not to give them that appropriate value of taking the tight end where they really should go. And I just don't love what it does to you as you move through the rest of the draft. But I do kind of feel, as I'm talking through it right now, I would like to have a few more Bowers teams than I currently do have. I think if there's one player in round 2 that maybe I'm a little underexposed on, that I would like to have more of, that would be easy to pull up, would be Brock Bowers. I honestly thought about taking Bowers there instead of Hampton and just going double Las Vegas. You know, just betting on Clint Kubiak and that new offense with Fernando Mendoza, assuming it's all going to go well and dandy, and the value that we thought would pay off for both of them last year does happen. Because it's not like we've really adjusted our opinion of last year in terms of price on those 2 players. And, like, to me, it's very odd that, like, we just trusted Geno and the Las Vegas offense that much, that those 2 players are, like, that effing good, but they're just that talented. So it's totally makes sense why they're round 2 picks, but it's just the fact that they're both on Vegas and we're taking 2 Las Vegas Raiders before we take a single, no, I guess James Cook goes out the board. I almost said a single Buffalo Bill. I guess it's just Josh Allen. But a single Green Bay Packer, a little bit odd, before a single LA Charger. Oh no, Hampton goes. I don't think I'm going to take Bucky Irving. Let's see where he falls. And then I think I'm going to get a little bit weird. Have to go double receiver. I'm not going to take Rashee Rice. I'm going to go Luther Burden and Egbuka. We're at pick 12. We're at the bookend. The team we saw in that last draft, I believe, made that pick as well. And then they passed on pulling up Caleb. I guess that is okay. But they also passed on Baker. That was odd. But I didn't hate starting with that combo. I think starting Genty and Hampton at the 12, your hand is a bit forced where you just have to get back in at receiver. Because to wait till pick 60 to get your receiver 1, that's a huge, huge cliff that is past you. Like the round 4, early round 5 receiver tier break is so much different than every receiver you're looking at in the 6th round. It's just so much different.
Nice.
So, Egbuka there. Mike Evans is gone. I think it's legit. We're not getting any of these players to come back. And, like, if I'm going to get odd with a Luther Burden click on this side of the board, let it be at a pick that I don't normally have. Like, at pick 12, mixing it up for sure, justifying really any reach that isn't more than 2 rounds. But technically, if I wanted Jaden Daniels there, I could have even lobbied that he wasn't going to circle back, and maybe I should take in Jaden Daniels. Or Lamar Jackson. You know, that one makes a lot more sense. If I wanted to go Zay Flowers, Lamar Jackson there, I could have justified it. But we go Egbuka, Luther Burden, a little bit more safe. But Two Mules says, love Bowers. If he doesn't get injured, in my opinion, he will go down as the greatest tight end of all time. However, last season, all of my rosters with non-running backs and receivers in the first 4 rounds sucked ass. That's another aspect that you just can't control, and why you don't want to be super overexposed on, in my opinion, any super early round pick. Like, I believe I'm at like 22% AJ Brown, and that is like my true cutoff point, especially when it's an early round player, because you're so heavily invested in them compared to someone in like rounds 15, 16, 17, where if an injury happens, whether it's early in the season and just a few games, but like you don't get the points you need to advance, even with an elite team, like that sucks. Or if it happens late in the year and you are in the playoffs and that player is just not available, that really sucks. So injuries are the one reason why you can't plant too deep of a flag on any one player. Like, to go over 25% is just such a huge risk, because if I had to guess, I would say like a guaranteed minimum of like 15% injury risk on every single player does apply. Like, to expect every single player to miss like almost 2 games, like 1 full game, and then let's say go down before halftime in another game, I think that's like baseline expectation on everyone. Then there's players who are going to miss 80% of the year. There's players who are going to miss 40%. You know, like, there's such wide ranges of injury risk on every single name that is so random and fluky, impossible to predict. We can look at past injuries and say, yeah, this guy might be a little more likely not to stay healthy. Let's say J.K. Dobbins is a perfect example. But that's why Dobbins goes so much later. When it's an early round pick, we need to feel a little bit safer that this guy's going to stay healthy and not risk too much that if they don't, we're not just getting buried because of our exposures. Javonte Williams is who I learned that lesson with my second year, or maybe it was my first year drafting Underdog. I think it was more my first year drafting a slightly higher volume of teams. I was in on Javonte when he was with the Broncos and Russell Wilson. I was like, hell yeah, give me Javonte. Love Javonte. And then he got hurt. And I got screwed. So keep that in mind. I will take the following value on Quinshon, and then I will pull up Caleb Williams to stack with Burden. I think I can get some solid receiver values. I don't think I need to force quarterback at the next round if I don't want to, but we got a good price on Quinshon Judkins, and now we have 3 legit starting running backs. I'm not going to feel too bad about my depth at running back, even if I wait till like round 15 to draft my 4th. I think I can ignore running back for a while and not get burned. Just take good values where they are, if I would like. But that is a position that is moving up the draft board as a room. In general, whatever lobby you're in, running back is going to be a little bit more expensive than it was 2 weeks ago. So keep that in mind. You're not going to get as many falling values in general. But when you do, like with Quinshon Judkins here, wow, DeAndre Swift went to Doc at pick 50. That's interesting. That's notable. But Harvey goes pick 64. Quinshon there at 60. Scadaboo is still on the board. I will take the faller because especially being at the bookend, I never know when I'm going to get one. I don't like to have a clear, glaringly obvious weakness on my team when I'm at the bookend. And if there's one that's like more punitive than others to have, it's running back, because that list dries up fast. If these guys want to try to scoop up a bunch of receivers in the 6th and 7th round because they see I have 2 receivers, that's fine. I'm willing to take what happens in that event. But I think that's where Team 8 may have made a mistake. They took too many receivers. I don't love the names as well. With Amon-Ra Neighbors, Garrett Wilson, and Rashee Rice, I'd much rather just have a Kyron Williams over one of either of them. And then Mekhi Lemon instead of Judkins when you don't have a running back yet also feels incorrect in my opinion. I will be totally honest. We've spotlit those teams that invest too heavily at receiver in the past, especially as a word of warning. I think a learning opportunity, like this team can still land the plane. It's still possible. It's fine. It's still possible. We're in round 18 and we look back on their draft and like, wow, RM really figured it out. But in general, that's not what happens. In general, that's just not what happens. Crossface says take a rip. Let's take a rip when we go over 30 likes. Because I did take a few rips like what feels like 15 minutes ago. And I definitely planned one for the second half. I was probably going to finish the bowl in the second half. But 30 likes, we'll take another rip. How about that? Right now we're sitting at 27. So that's not asking for much. But one more smoke break at 30 likes. Herbert goes to the team with Ladd McConkey, so have plenty of Herbert. Now Trevor Lawrence off the board. I do not hate the Caleb Williams selection. Knowing how like flat quarterback is looking at the moment definitely feels like a perfectly fine selection. Jordan Tyson went 78. Jalen Warren goes 82. But then what is King of QC going to do? They have a 0-3-3-0 build. Take quarterback, please. Goes Addison. Would have loved to have Addison there, but that's okay. I can get Wandale. And then I could also get Godwin if I really want, but I mean, Fannin is here. I'm going to take Wandale for sure. I know that's happening. And then it does feel kind of wise to get in at tight end. I have been catching up a little bit on Harold Fannin at the moment The entire tight end position as a whole has been less coveted, but we know for a fact that Kraft is not going to circle back. It's between Fannin and Kraft. Who do you guys want? Fannin or Kraft? Fannin or Kraft? I'm just playing. It looks like Kraft it is. Oh, no. Tucker Kraft it is. Okay. Playing with fire. But if I had accidentally pulled up the receiver, Chris Godwin there, that would have been a bummer. But Godwin goes to King of QC immediately. I wanted Addison, not going to lie. But Wandale, high floor, happy with Wandale. And then we also got a really valuable tight end. And I have quarterback options at the next stop. At pick 108, 109, I have some quarterback options I can look to that make a lot of sense. But so far, a reminder on the team, we took Genty Hampton and Quinshon Judkins out of the 12 slot. So very strong running back room so far. And then our receiver room, I think, is balanced enough to keep us afloat. Egbuka, Luther Burden, super high spike week potential. Egbuka just needs to stay healthy, but should be the Bucks receiver one. We got Burden stacked up with Caleb Williams, super high spike week guy. And then we also have Wandale Robinson, high floor guy. Tucker Kraft instead of Fannin. Maybe should have just taken Fannin, but I kind of felt sad that I missed out on Kraft in the last draft. Kraft did go at pick 101 in our last streamed lobby. He was not going to make it to 108. That's for sure. So let's just take him here, mix him in. I've taken Fannin quite a bit more often recently than Kraft. I think they're both super valuable. Kraft was the tight end one before he got hurt, so we're good with that. But Crossface, yes, indeed, you are correct. That is 30. That is 30 likes. So you know what time it is. Here, let's bring the music down. Let's get serious. Let's get fucking serious. Time for a smoke break. Let's go. King of QC did want Kraft. Sorry. Sorry, bud. So close. I was pissed I didn't get him last time. I was genuinely pissed about that. But I think it's not the end of the world. Given how you started with 3 straight running backs, to go 5 straight receivers, you're in good shape. I mean, there's multiple teams with 5 receivers so far on this side of the board. So maybe that spares me, but like, I don't know. I'm a little bit worried about my receiver room potentially getting out of hand. There's a little bit of risk involved with my receiver room right now. Whoa. Didn't mean to do that. Apologies. Apologies, everyone. The mouse is going berserk again, having a manic episode in the corner there. But Mr. Mufasa, from one pothead to another, I love it. What's up, everyone? Nice to see you in here. Appreciate it. And I think we still have a... Nah, I'm just going to finish it. I'll finish it right now. Oh, that was stronger than I thought. You got to feel it. You got to feel the ash to know like how much is really left. And honestly, that felt a lot weaker than what the smoke actually paid off. Maybe there was some resin on that. Perhaps that was a bit more of a resin plume of smoke. But interesting spot here, given the quarterback landscape. I do have 2 options. Hopefully they don't both get sniped. But Kyler goes, so we're getting at least Jordan Love or Baker. They're both viable options. Bo Nix does get taken. Pollard has fallen, so that's interesting. I think this is what I'm going to do. It's one thing to pass on Baker when you have Egbuka. for a other position, but to set up a stack in Green Bay with Jordan Love and Jaden Reed and Tucker Kraft, very legit. So let's do that. Go triple Green Bay in the last 3 picks. Feels pretty solid. Feels like it can totally work out. But receiver is absolutely a position of need moving forward. Must be afraid of Love going to Tennessee in terms of Tony Pollard. I've seen him fall. I'm kind of curious as to how far he is going to fall. But in general, I've drafted a lot more Tyjae Spears, and at the moment, I've panicked a little bit on all of my Titans backfield exposures, so I'm not really trying to increase either of them. And for the sake of my team, I felt like I needed wide receiver a little bit more desperately, so I was willing to pass. And then I do think that is a legitimate concern, why I'm also willing to pass and just see what happens. Pollard does go 112, so pretty solid value. I've seen Pollard go a little bit later as well. I've seen him go 117. So Pollard at 112. Could be a great value, could be a terrible value. They could draft Love, he could get cut or traded, and he's just like in the perfect spot. Maybe he's with Seattle and it's like, shit, I wish I had a lot more Tony Pollard. But in general, I also kind of still believe in Tyjae Spears overtaking Tony Pollard at some point. He's probably not going to lose his job if they don't draft Jeremiah Love, but if they do, then he is very scary. And I needed receiver a lot more. So yeah, I was willing to do that. But I guess you don't like Pearsall. We passed on him in the previous round. I have quite a bit of Pearsall, and as he has been falling, I have been trying to catch up with my Wan'Dale exposure. I think Pearsall's fine there. I think once Wan'Dale and Jordan Addison are off the board, my favorite click would be Ricky Pearsall. But then there was also the Godwin Tampa Bay Bucks stack option that made me interested in Godwin. We could have gone with Baker instead of Love, for instance. But yeah, at the moment, given how much I have of Pearsall, I view them in a similar tier. And because Pearsall is falling, I feel like I might be able to get him on other teams later in the round, in the 8th round, for instance. And then Wan'Dale, I think, is totally worth being pulled up. So I don't want to get the player I just don't want. Like, this is just get your guy type of mindset with Wan'Dale over Pearsall. But I believe on Saturday we made the mistake of taking Ricky Pearsall over Addison and then getting Kyler only stacked up with TJ Hawkinson. Like, because of the current price on Kyler, I think taking Addison is super, super valuable. Yeah, that team with Jefferson got ahead of the team with Kyler. I think the team with Jefferson should have taken Addison over Jalen Warren. I think that would be really interesting. So the way the board is shaken out since free agency has happened and like where some adjusting ADPs and like values currently do stand, I'm trying to pivot off of some players that were going higher that I have more of, and I'm more willing to take some players that were going later that I had less of just a couple weeks ago. But was really hoping Golden would circle back. Didn't happen. Concepcion off the board. I think I might take my first share of Jaden Higgins in quite some time. Might be wise to get back in at running back as well. But I will take Jaden Higgins, and I've seen Boston fall further than this. Not dying to do it. I think I need running back most of all. None of these names are interesting. Actually, given who I have in 3 year 2 players, I'm not going to bet that there's much injury risk with them. Let's take the swing that Jonathan Brooks is just the correct guy in Carolina. Let's go all or nothing with Jonathan Brooks. I think this is the type of running back room that can tolerate it. And being at the 12, is it a high price to pay? Yes, but I haven't seen him back past 150 in a while, and I think he was going in the 140s. So not going to come back to me. I'll just take Brooks. Going to reach on him. Absolutely risky, but we started off Genty, Hampton, Judkins. We're not really hoping for much contributions from Brooks in the first place. If he does pay off, it's just like straight upside. A Tyrone Tracy there was just a floor play. Jonathan Brooks is a swing for the fence. So I'll take Jonathan Brooks there. But PPR, yo, what's up, man? Good to see you. Yo, check your X DMs, man. But saw you earlier today. Great stream. And I'm sure we will be in touch soon. Sure, we will be in touch soon. I trust the divine timing, and looking forward to getting back to that conversation we were having last week. But Niners says signing multiple receivers seems bearish for Pearsall. No, Pearsall has so much injury risk, it's not good. Like, that's why they need to hedge their bets. But like, ultimately, Ricky Pearsall is a first-round pick. The year before they moved off of Debo, and 2 years before they move off of Brandon Ayuk. Like, they have signaled that they were going to shake things up at receiver by drafting Pearsall. And obviously no one expected him to get shot. Last year he had a ton of injuries. Maybe he just can't keep it together. Like, there's a lot to overcome. But I think they would like a world where Ricky Pearsall develops into an Emeka Egbuka level player. Someone that makes them feel a bit more comfortable moving off of Mike Evans when the contract is over. But that's clearly a development for Ricky Pearsall. I don't think he's ready to deliver quite yet. He's super talented. If he can stay on the field, he can get things together and just like remain super viable, be a really good click. But Pearsall at the moment, I think, is in the exact same tier as Addison and has a lot more injury risk. And now that I know the quarterback on Addison, I'm much more excited to be increasing my shares of Addison vis-a-vis Ricky Pearsall at the moment. We did that on Saturday, Pearsall at a value over Addison, and it just felt wrong in hindsight. But that was a team where I took Kyler Murray. So I think that being a big factor on this side of the board, getting a later QB stack with Kyler and Addison is a lot more valuable because you're not going to get Purdy to fall back to you. So being on this side of the board is tricky. Are you trying to pull up Purdy? Probably not. And in the first place, you're taking Pearsall at a value in the 8th round anyways. So Purdy is very rarely making it back to you at 106. That's another thing to keep in mind. But I am glad I took Jonathan Brooks there. We see Chris Rodriguez go. We see Keaton Mitchell go. Aaron Jones also went 135. So running back values on the mind. Brooklyn says Fannin was a good pick on his own, but with Judkins, I would not want two pieces of the Browns offense on the same team. Very legit point. I mean, I wish I saw that in the moment. Maybe, no, I think you posted it after we clicked it. But yeah, in hindsight's always 2020. Fuck yeah, we get Cam Ward as our QB3. Love it. We got the stack with Wandale. Absolutely beautiful. Not sure why James Conner's queued up. Have no idea why that's happening. But yeah, give me Cam Ward as the QB3 on this team. And then our running back room can tolerate some risk. Maybe James Conner is not a bad click at all. But then getting back in at tight end soon might be interesting, might be worth it. We do have Kraft, though. But don't want to get buried at receiver either. Nah, I'll take James Conner. Another big risk. Big injury risk. But like similar to the Jonathan Brooks click, let's only shoot for upside. Like what if Algier gets hurt and James Conner is another like 10 touchdown guy? Like I believe I'm getting him past ADP as well. Only by 5 picks, but he's been falling. ADP now 152. We can't take Keaton Mitchell here, so there's no like huge swing. But we also have Hampton, so let's just bet that Hampton's going to be healthy in the first place. And then similar to Jonathan Brooks, like if we do get the RB1 role for James Conner as a handcuff, like we've seen what he can offer. It's just a question of will Conner be healthy enough to stay on the field. But they brought him back for a reason. They love him in the locker room. He's a great asset. And Algier is not accustomed to handling everything on his own for a full 17 game slate. So I still think there's a plan for Conner. He's just too talented. There's just the risk that he misses time. And I like some of the maybe like different week correlation where James Conner might be more healthy earlier in the season, a bit more of a contributor, but Jonathan Brooks perhaps later. Actually, more I think about it, James Conner, it's probably just injury correlated with Algier. If I had to guess, that's probably something that's going to happen if he really does pop. But this team is interesting. I'm still a little bit shaky at receiver. I'm not convinced that I made the right choice passing on receiver there. We're going to find out. But a reminder on the build, we have 3-5-5-1, so we're done at quarterback. We only need one more running back, but we could just be considered done as well. Because we started off Genty, Hampton, Judkins in the 5th, good value on Judkins. And then we got Jonathan Brooks and James Conner. Little bit of a reach on Brooks, but wasn't going to circle back. And then we took Conner at, I think, a fair value. Definitely want Conner above Trey Benson by a significant margin. But come on, baby, turn the lights off. That makes sense. But the staying on the field argument, I don't like. He was shot his first year. I mean, yeah, I write that off. But last year it didn't apply. And he got injured early. They didn't put him on IR, and he was out for longer than an IR stint would have kept him off the field. Like, he was a huge, huge question mark all of last year, and it's very far removed from the gunshot wound. Like, I 100% write off year one, but last year is just more of the same trend, him missing games. You know, like, it's just a fact. It is what it is. Does the gunshot wound carry over? Not at all, but all of his leg injuries do. And, like, if you just keep missing games, the organization is just going to label you a bust, you know, and try and move on. Like, they gave Evans a 2-year contract. I'm not convinced that Evans is ever going to relinquish that role. But I'll get back in at tight end. I do think Njoku's still a fun click in terms of his landing spots. Still fairly interesting, but talented for sure. And then do I just grab another Titan? I don't know if I can afford Eli Stowers and Njoku around this turn, given I only have 5 receivers, and the names I'm looking at are fucking gross as hell. Yeah, I'm going to take my boy Kamari DK. We have Cam Ward. We got the stack. We got a double Titan stack. I still believe in DK, but a little bit troublesome in terms of what Wan'Dale is going to do and take away from his job security. He's a little bit of a gadget guy. Might be the wrong click in all honesty, but still optimistic. And we have Cam Ward. He's my favorite option in that group in Tennessee. Oh, Tank Bigsby was sniped. Didn't even notice that. But I think he's the most athletic, talented guy that was ready to contribute day one. And they drafted him above Elik Ayamanor for a reason. They were both 4th-round picks, but they did want to secure Kamari DK on the roster ahead of Ayamanor. And then Ridley, I think, is trade bait. I don't think Ridley's going to contribute for a long time. I think they're going to treat Ridley like they treated Hopkins. You'll be on the team for 5 weeks. You're going to get frustrated. It's going to be annoying for everyone. But then you'll be gone. By the time we hit the trade deadline, you'll be long gone. And then it opens up significantly. But from week 1, we got Wan'Dale. And that's a super valuable advanced piece. Just for the points that Wan'Dale offers, I feel really safe with Wan'Dale. And then we have a really good investment at quarterback with Caleb Williams. Just got who we wanted, paired him up with Luther Burden. And then we have Jordan Love, like, double stacked with Kraft and Jaden Reed. That's pretty solid. S. Dot thinks Pollard gets dealt. That's pretty likely as well. I think Pollard and Ridley are very interesting trade pieces. Pollard more likely around the draft, and then Ridley probably closer to the trade deadline. That is a fair guess. But is this in relation to Tyrone? Yeah. And then Best Ball Q says Tennessee has Pollard and Spears. The hope would be New York or Tennessee trades a back. Yeah. Emmanuel Wilson there at 191 is interesting. But Jeremiah Love really is really going to crater two backfields, one of two backfields. And it seems like we've made the bet collectively that it's probably the Titans. It's most likely the Titans backfield. And I think that's legit. I think they could really use an elite running back. And like, it's kind of similar to the Saquon investment. But unless there's just such a good player available that just fell to them, I think they're picking 4. It does feel a little bit steep. But like if they get David Bailey, I doubt they can pass that up. But S-Dot says if Love gets to Tennessee, Pollard gets dealt, and Tajay is 15% of the snaps. That seems a little low for Tajay. I think I would go 20-25%. Just because Jeremiah is a rookie after all. But yeah, I would assume Pollard is most likely getting dealt. You could see Pollard ending up in Seattle. That's definitely possible, but we're projecting everyone for Seattle now. Just stop to hopefully guessing that's what's going to happen. I don't know. But what if they like Connor more on the goal line early season and he helps as you're waiting for Brooks to take over? That's, I think, where Connor, I don't think is going to lose his job imminently. But I think in general, you're going to get more early season contributions out of Connor because I would expect Connor to get hurt down the line. And that's the like definitive path where his job is just totally irrelevant. Him getting hurt less so than Algier just like getting 80% of the snaps. Connor's absolutely going to be involved. So Brooks going to be competing with Chuba Hubbard for a while, but yeah, might take over by like week 10. Maybe Chuba Hubbard also goes down. But then Connor is much older, so probably gets hurt. And then Brooks just always gets hurt. So this is like the last year I'm willing to bet on Brooks. If Brooks can't get it together this season, I'll be out next year 100%. But willing to pull him up 22 picks when I'm at the turn. Didn't expect him to come back, so let's take him. And then let's grab our third tight end. We have another stacking partner with Cam Ward in Gunnar Helm. And then receiver is the main direction, I think. I think I'm going to go Jeremy Bernard and Gunnar Helm. I feel like as long as I'm getting one receiver with these 2 picks every turn, I'm like addressing that position enough to keep it viable. Our receiver one was Igbuka. We took Burden, and then Wandale is the number 3. So not like the safest grouping. But then Jaden Reed, Jaden Higgins. So double Jaden at different turns. But then Jonathan Brooks, Cam Ward, James Conner, David Njoku. We went 4 picks without a wide receiver. Boy. That was a tongue twister. And then these last 2 turns felt the need to get back in. And I still have 2 picks. I could legitimately argue I still need 2 more receivers on this team. A 3-5-7-3. I think I can get away with it. Had Tank Bigsby been there, it would have been very compelling. But we'll see who's on the board at running back. We will see. But I feel like the team is solid. Let's remind you how it went. Our 3-5-7-3 build has Caleb Williams, Jordan Love, and Cam Ward. We have Ashton Genty, Omarion Hampton, Quinshon Judkins, Jonathan Brooks, and James Conner. So really trying to bet that the top three really carry us, just stay healthy, and have such big workloads that there's really no question about them exiting the lineup too often. And then if we ever do need Brooks or Connor to step up, there is like elite upside where they could find their way into the top 12, hypothetically, if they do wound up as the RB1 in those backfield. Carolina, I still think is up for grabs. Rico Dowdle took that job from Chuba Hubbard last year. He's gone. So Brooks could hypothetically do it himself if he can stay healthy. And then James Conner has looked great in the past, but always gets hurt, is much older, and now has to compete alongside Algier, but always contingent upside with a handcuff if the starter does go down. We know those guys are the next man up. But receiver, we have Egbuka in the third with Luther Burden pulled up a little bit. Wan'Dale Robinson, Jaden Daniels, Jaden Higgins, Chimeri DK, Jeremy Bernard, and then tight end has Tucker Kraft, David Njoku, and Gunnar Helm. I think risking it at running back is the way to go. I don't think I can afford a 6 because my receiver room feels desperate for that 9th name. Getting an 8th might be fine. It might be exactly the guy I need, but I'd rather just give myself an extra dart throw at that position because that is, I think, the position I need help with points the most at. I think receiver is by far my weakest spot, and let's just attack it with volume. This does not feel like an 8 receiver room. It feels like a 9 receiver room. 100%. So gonna tip my hand to the drafters ahead of me. If you want your guy at receiver, you got to take him here. I will be scooping up 2, and maybe it is the name you want. So I'll advertise that. I think it's obvious based on my build in the first place, but I also think these teams ahead of me need other positions. Maybe Natball takes one, but I think Taking Dollars and King of QC are probably going to pass on receiver in the first place. He goes Jerome Ford. Could go Keenan Allen, but he might retire, so doesn't make me feel super confident. Dontavian Wicks was taken. And then Greg Dulcich. I think I'm going to go Jahan Dotson for sure. At the moment, we're getting the Falcons wide receiver 2. Now, do I trust that to hold? Probably not, but I'm willing to mix him in and take a chance. Am I? Honestly, as I'm talking through it, it sounds pretty gross. I'm going to go Keenan Allen. I'll take Keenan. I could still take Jahan, but I want to think about it just a little bit more. Not too many elite stacking options. Dontavian Wicks did go. I think I'll take a rookie. I think I'm going to take Bryce Lance. We have Jeremy Bernard, our only other rookie on this team entirely. I'll go with another rookie. I think the athleticism of Bryce Lance could make him a valuable early round 3 pick or round 2 pick. I think he'll be taken day 2 of the NFL draft, and I believe he will be much more drafted come Best Ball Mania. Not sure what the landing spot will be, not sure how valuable he will be, but in terms of athleticism, he's a big, fast guy that I think can catch passes. And we've seen similar athletic profiles out of North Dakota State pay off at that position, most notably Christian Watson. In case you do not know who Bryce Lance is, let's spotlight him just briefly. Let's also pull up Jeremy Bernard for the hell of it, and then let's review some other teams that were drafting with us. But Bryce Lance is 24 years old, so played maybe 5 years in college. I think he only played 4, but an older draft prospect. But these days, now that you get paid in college, not sure if that's as troublesome as it once was. But 6'3", 204 pounds, totally legit. His arms could be longer, only 63rd percentile, 32 inches is fine, but nothing elite. However, the speed score is fantastic. 4.34 at the combine. That's 97th percentile, just straight up at the position. Weight adjusted speed score 98th, so a little bit faster as well. That's impressive. The burst score is pretty dominant, so the 10-yard split was also pretty dope. Agility score falls to the 63rd percentile. That is notable. So maybe that is something to keep in mind. It's quite an outlier when by comparison, but then the catch radius is 99th percentile. He has tremendous measurables, came in as the number 2 athletic score of the class, according to playerprofiler.com. So that's pretty interesting. 2 years ago at North Dakota State, had 75 catches, 1,071 yards, and 17 receiving touchdowns. And then last year did take a bit of a dip in that department, but 51 catches for 1,079, much more efficient on those catches, had more yardage actually, but then only 8 touchdowns. I guess he was a bit more of a focal point of the defense last year in 2025. So that I think is very interesting. Looks like Marcus with a very valid point as well. Trey Lance's brother. That is also true. Wants me to look up Ted Hurst. I also mix in Ted Hurst as well. Very similar athletic profile with Ted Hurst. Also went to a smaller school, Georgia State. So in the Sun Belt, not quite a Georgia wide receiver, even though technically he is. He's from the state of Georgia, but not Georgia, the University of Georgia. But 6'4", 206, 32-inch arms, so similar to Ted Hurst. However, he is younger, 21 years old, so has a little bit more upside potentially. And he runs a 4.42, so a little bit slower than Bryce Lance, but younger and a little bit taller. So, like, who cares? You know, that's still fast as fuck. Fast as fuck, boy. 95th percentile in terms of speed score, 85th percentile in terms of burst. So weight adjusted, some of his numbers are a little bit less impressive, but still overall, the dude's a stud. And then 72nd percentile in terms of catch radius. I like a few more things with Bryce Lance, a little bit more. Also, I think Bryce Lance turned down some NIL money to go elsewhere. So, like, could have been paid, just chose not to, didn't really worry about it. Wanted the legacy at North Dakota State. It is what it is. It's in the family. So, meant something to him. Who knows if that means anything? Probably doesn't, but just something to keep in mind why these guys weren't in more competitive conferences at higher paying schools. But yeah, the stats are just a little bit more impressive with Bryce Lance as well. When you just look at raw numbers, you know, like only 1,004 yards is the max. 9 touchdowns was the max. We saw 17 on Bryce Lance. So that's my personal take why I rank Bryce Lance over Ted Hurst, but I have mixed in Ted Hurst as well on top of that. But I also want to look up Jeremy Bernard real fast because I take so much Jeremy, and I don't think I've spotlighted him in a minute on the channel. So 6'1", 206 pounds, 30-inch arms, so really low in that category. That's actually a little concerning. Didn't realize his arms were that short. But 206 pounds, he is the shortest of the 3, and they all weigh 206. So a little bit tougher, perhaps, in terms of just like raw muscle weight. 4.48, a little bit slower. 78th percentile speed. Maybe Bryce Lance is the most impressive by far, just by comparison. But did go to Alabama, did play 4 years in college, followed Kalen DeBoer after leaving Washington behind a crowded wide receiver room that included Rome Odunze. Followed the coach to Alabama, had 794 yards his junior season and only 2 touchdowns. But last year, a little bit more of a breakout in that department. Played 15 games, so keep that in mind. Maybe it's not that much of a difference at all on a per-game basis, but definitely more targets. Jumped to 111 targets, only caught 64 of them for 862 and 7 receiving touchdowns. So like that he's a bit more developed, but I have been fooled by Kalen DeBoer wide receivers in the past. This is still an Alabama receiver at the end of the day. So that is important to keep in mind. And I have been taking him like crazy. He performed very well at the combine in some drills. But I also just think he's going to be going in the second round. And I feel a little bit more confident projecting that his ADP will be rising after this tournament will close. Bryce Lance, I think, might be going in the third, optimistically. Jeremy, I think, will be going in round 2. So, despite slower metrics, that is not always the greatest indicator of elite athleticism. It's not always going to determine if this guy will dominate or not. But yeah, just 3 rookies I wanted to mention. Now let's get back to the lobby. Maybe we'll spotlight Chris Bell another time, but I did want to look at some other teams in this lobby with me. Let's take a look. We were right behind King of QC, so let's go in that order. We have Bo Nix, Malik Willis, and Geno Smith out of the 11 slot, with James Cook, Devon Achane, so also going double elite RB as well. Brees Hall in the 3rd, so started trip running back with Tank Bigsby as the 4th, Isaiah Pacheco as the 5th, and Amari DiMercado as the 6th. So did feel comfortable just betting on all that draft capital. They're going to stay in the lineup. And if these later round guys do pop, similar to my handcuffs, they're in good offenses. They're going to have a lot of upside if they do ever get a chance to just be the guy. So love the strategy at running back. Definitely legit. Did you fill in receiver with enough depth? We have Zay Flowers, Christian Watson, Cortland Sutton. Not clicking Cortland Sutton very much myself, but did take Addison. Love that click, honestly. And then took Godwin. I was also considering Chris Godwin. So very fair to just go straight 5 receivers, but I know I sniped you on Kraft, so this could have been a bit different had I not done that. Then you go Casey Concepcion a little bit later, Marvin Mims, outside pick 200, followed by Malik Washington as well. I like the Malik Washington click. I think a very underrated selection. More of a floor play where Marvin Mims is just like that elite upside guy, so I like the pairing mentally in those back-to-back rounds. Concepcion has a lot of upside as the 6th, makes you feel competitive, but I do think going receiver instead of Kraft, I think bailed you out from a potential risky outcome there. I think the receiver room is just good enough given how it started with 3 straight RBs. But tight end, you waited quite some time. Goes Goddard, Isaiah Likely, and Greg Dulcich. Don't love the Dulcich click at all, my friend. But a little bit tricky. Isn't there news on Goddard? Inks the 1-year deal with Philly. Beautiful. So happy. I thought I saw that. I just wanted to confirm. I know that he had some weird contract things going on today. And pretty sure I saw that. But yeah, totally confirmed. A legit click to pull up. I got him at 150 over the weekend. That was awesome. Maybe 155 actually. Yeah, I think I got him 155 over the weekend. But great price nonetheless. I've been clicking him quite a bit all off season, and maybe my Njoku optimism is not really appropriate anymore. But I still think Njoku can go to like the Patriots. I think the Patriots are an interesting place for a tight end if they don't draft one. So we'll see on Njoku, but he's still talented. I like Njoku. Anyways, back to your team. That tight end room a little bit thin, but with Goddard and Likely can totally work out. Hate the Dulcich click. Would have preferred a safer 3rd tight end, but it's nitpicking. Good draft. The quarterback room is gross, though. Quarterback room fucking sucks. To pull up Geno Smith 158 makes me want to vomit. That is fucking gross. So, sad to see it at QB, but it is what it is. Very happy you didn't snipe me there in Ward, in all honesty. That, in hindsight, was a bit of a gift. Because, like, this is essentially the same price there. 2 picks later on Ward when I'm at the bookend. You know, that's identical. So, I think you should have sniped me on Cam Ward. Because, I'll be honest with you, man. You would have still gotten Juwan Johnson or Isaiah Likely to circle back. That is legitimately what I would have left you. One of those 2 tight ends, who I don't see that much differently, in all honesty. I prefer Likely just a little bit more in this format in best ball. But the drop-off of Juwan Johnson to Likely compared to Geno Smith versus Cam Ward, I think that's where you should have taken Cam Ward. But I'm glad I got him. Very happy I got him with Wandale. Let's take a look at taking dollars. Kyler and Jacoby Brissett, so thin at quarterback, but Good values, I guess. Kyron, Bucky, Jalen Warren, Aaron Jones, Kamara, Marshawn Lloyd, Gross at the bottom, and not the most inspiring at the top or middle. So it's fine, but feels very mid, rather mid at the moment. Wide receiver with Jefferson, Brian Thomas, DK Metcalf, Jalen Coker, Josh Downs, Omar Cooper. So pretty solid, but a little top heavy. But I like some of the depth pieces for sure. Love the Coker, Downs, Cooper selection. And then Kyle Williams, Torrey Horton, Dontavian Wicks. Pretty legit. I would not have remembered to click Dontavian Wicks with love, but get your guys. And then Trey McBride, Fannin, TJ Hawkinson. So straight fire at tight end. I don't think you need Hawkinson with McBride and Fannin, but you do have Kyler, so the stack is warranted. I guess it's fine. Gonna get some more flex contributions as well, so receiver can be a bit thinner, running back a bit thinner, but yeah, running back doesn't feel good enough where I think I want to be taking Hawkinson there. Like taking Bigsby would have been great. Getting Pacheco, not having to settle for Kamara, I think would have been nice. You might have also just gotten Hawkinson to circle back. I think running back might have been a better click there instead of Hawkinson, structurally speaking. But then we have Nap Ball in here as always. Appreciate you joining the lobby once again. Dak Prescott, Bryce Young, Aaron Rodgers. Totally legit. Absolutely legit. And you do have Javonte and CeeDee Lamb. Remember that stack. You have Flournoy as well. No Flournoy, but who cares? Javonte, CeeDee Lamb. Leaning on Dak. Kenneth Walker at pick 16. Javonte at pick 40. RJ Harvey, 64. Pollard at 112. Solid price on Pollard as the RB4. Then Ray Davis, Jerome Ford, Trevor Etienne. So swinging for the fence at running back on the depth chart there. Very solid. Totally legit. The 7th feels a little excessive, but 5 and 6 could also just be zeros. So getting number 7, I think, is okay. But receiver with Lamb, Tet McMillan, both stacked up. Jalen Waddle, Ricky Pearsall, Michael Pittman at 105. Interesting. I've seen Pittman rise. That's a great price there on Pittman. Nice. That feels great. And then Debo, 153. That feels awesome as well. Jalen Naylor, his new price of 184. It's fine. I don't love it, but it's fine. Strong at the top, though. Good depth at receiver. Great value on Pittman. And then that's also stacked up. That's beautiful. Kenyon Sadiq, right at ADP. Juwan Johnson, 160. That's a great value. And then Dalton Schultz, 177. Totally legit. Love the floor pair with Sadiq. The tight end room is very balanced. Receiver room is strong. Good values. Running back has depth, so never going to hate on it. And then QB, all starters. At the moment, I view Rodgers as starter, so super balanced team, man. This is a very legit top 3 finisher. I think the advance rate percentage on this team is very high. My only concern is just my personal preference to not draft Tet McMillan. I'm not a believer that Tet pays off the 3rd round price, but they all flew off the board. Like, unless you were taking Rashi, who you passed on twice, good man, very good man. You were pulling up everyone otherwise. So yeah, very legit. The correct pick. I would have been thrilled to have Tet instead of pulling up Igbuka, but it was all gross behind that. Round 4 is so flat at the position, if you ask me. But who else was in here? Bryson as well. Justin Herbert, Baker Mayfield, Daniel Jones out of the 7 slot, 3683. CMC, Saquon, Scattaboo, Chris Rodriguez, Keaton Mitchell, Braylon Allen. Totally legit running back room. You know how I feel about Saquon, but perfectly fine. Wide receiver with T. Higgins, Lad McConkey, Carnell Tate, Jacoby Myers, Quentin Johnston, both stacked up with Herbert. Tyreek Hill at 175, Zachariah Branch, Antonio Williams. So a few swings on rookies, some bets on the Chargers offense, and then Carnell and T. Higgins should carry you quite far. But then Kittle and Tonjes, so just locking in the Niners tight end, and Eli Stowers hoping for a rookie season breakout. Don't hate it. A little bit risky, but just locking in Tonjes, I think, gives you the correct like amount of risk. But tight end is rather tricky. Receiver a little bit tricky. Running back is very strong. Quarterback is strong. I think this team is very, very solid. Very legit. No complaints with that team at all. But Alex was in here. Drake May, Matthew Stafford out of the 3 slot. 2693. So a bit of high draft capital. Just going to trust that 2 is enough. Don't hate that at all. I've been doing that a bit more lately for sure. Running back with Josh Jacobs, Travion Henderson. Tyler Algier, pick 99. Good value on Algier for sure. Haven't seen that in a minute. But then Rashad White did pull up. Makes sense. Dylan Sampson. So waited a while, but legit top 4 to wait. And then Adam Randall as well. Very fine click. Receiver with Puka, Adams both stacked up in LA. Marvin Harrison at a solid discount, pick 75. Jawan Jennings, Denzel Boston. Those are fine clicks. I have seen Jawan fall a little bit, though. Rashid Shaheed, a decent faller, but kind of appropriate in Seattle. Pat Bryant, a legit click. Trey Tucker, legit. Brazel, legit. So, yeah, some good rookie and veteran mix here. I like the receiver room quite a bit. Very well stacked up top. And then Bowers, Hunter Henry, Colby Parkinson. The Parkinson click is correlated, so it makes sense. He fits in at flex as well. Really no complaints. Yeah, I would expect May and Stafford to be healthy. They were both the top 2 MVP earners last year. Yeah, good team. Totally justified 2 quarterbacks as well. Like the team a lot. Super balanced, super fair. Don't love Harrison personally, but really good price on it. And then like a good mix of like late round solid picks. Pat Bryant, very legit. S-Dot does not understand Shaheed's fall given his contract. The price on Shaheed was assuming that he more likely than not left Seattle. I think leaving Seattle, I think he has a bit more upside, to be honest. There's some better quarterbacks he could go to, some better play callers he could go to. I think losing Clint Kubiak and having such a big role in the special teams department is one reason to be a bit worried on Shaheed. People still believe in Torrey Horton. Cooper Kupp is still there. It was a little bit less crowded had he gone to Las Vegas, for instance. That would have been awesome. To return to Seattle is a little bit of a moot point and just a bit of a unfortunate meh type of response that like he's not going to have the same excitement that he did with the optimism he would go elsewhere. So that I think is why. I don't think it's the right decision. I think he was a fine, fair click. If he is going to fall, I'm willing to take him for sure. So I think a very legit price here on Rashid Shaheed, 147. That feels good. But yeah, I think Alex got good value, scooped them up while he could. Who did you pass on it when you took Jawan Jennings? That's what I'm curious. Matthew Golden. I was really hopeful that Golden could circle back, but it's been a while since I've seen him. It's been like 5 days since I've seen Golden fall to the end of the 11th round. People have been wising up to Golden, absolutely as of late. So passed on Golden. I do prefer Golden, but I'm fine with Jennings. And then all the other receivers I like there were gone. Very legit click with Jawan Jennings. Absolutely legit. But yeah, super balanced team, very, very solid. Like it a lot. And then Doc is in here as well. I recognize Doc from previous chats, so I'm interested in what Doc did. DC 352 has Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy, and Tua. Feels competitive, pretty solid. And then it running back Jahmyr Gibbs, DeAndre Swift, Chuba Hubbard. So pulled up Swift and Hubbard a little bit, but at the 102, sometimes you got to just get your guy. JCM, Emmanuel Wilson, Damon Claiborne feels solid, but I'm still kind of out on JCM's price. They've been bringing in a lot of competition for him that, while isn't the most inspiring, is just a lot of names, and he's a 7th rounder at the end of the day. Not the most exciting. They could also draft a running back as well. I doubt it, but it feels a little crowded to feel super confident about JCM. I like to take JCM when he falls about a full round, if not more. I have not been reaching on JCM as of late. I'll be honest with you, but you kind of reached on all three of those clicks. At the 102, it kind of just is what it is. But just personal preference. That's the main reason why I don't take him very much. Nico, AJ Brown feels great. Mike Evans also awesome. Also paired up with Purdy. Romeo Dobbs is great. Matthew Golden, I'm really excited about. I like the Matthew Golden investment. Stephon Diggs, 143. Very nice click on Diggs. I think once you get past 140, I've seen him go later, but it's all such a sweet value. So just scoop him up while you can. And then Brandon Ayuk, good luck on that, man. But pick 167. He could go later. He could keep falling, but almost a full 20 picks. I get it. And then Darnell Mooney, you pulled up a little bit in the Giants system. That's interesting. 194. Maybe I should be taking more Darnell Mooney much earlier if that's his new price. But I'm willing to get in on Mooney at that price for sure. Absolutely. Brenton Strange, Chigo Okonkwo, Jonnu Smith. It's okay. I wouldn't say it's great. I think some of the hype on Okonkwo is going a little bit overboard. He's fine, but I wouldn't consider him elite. I could easily see them draft like Eli Stowers in the second round or something as well. So Okonkwo is okay, but a legit guy to take there for sure. Jonnu, though, scares the shit out of me. The tight end room, I think you lost me a little bit. Because Strange, I don't think is like the safest tight end one. Okonkwo, I view kind of similar to him. So they're both fine. But then Jonnu gives me no inspiration at the moment. I have no clue where he's going to go. He was great with Mike McDaniel, so maybe he goes back to the Chargers and reunites with him. But there's no Arthur Smith to save him, and I'm not convinced that anyone really wants to spotlight him in the offense. So Jonnu scares me quite a bit as the third in the final round. But quarterback's legit. Maybe Jonnu reunites with Tua. That'd be interesting. In Atlanta. Doubt it, but that's interesting. And then running back is... For a team with Gibbs, I don't feel like this running back room is like elite. You know, it has Gibbs, so you can't feel bad about it. But Swift, a little bit expensive by comparison, is at least like unique and different. Oh, I apologize. I didn't bring the music back. Yo, that was my bad. I am sorry for that. But Chuba is a little uninspiring to me. I took Brooks. So I've been a Brooks guy as of late, but he's going back to college to play with Artie Smith. Yes. What if Jonnu enrolls at Ohio State? Then he'd be a terrible click. Then it'd be super misguided. But I'm willing to do one more. If we get to 40 likes. I think if we get to 40 likes, but there's 38 watching, 38 likes. I'm going to turn off my AC, turn on some lighting. And if we get to 40 likes, we'll do a third draft. I promise you we'll do a third. If we just get 2 more likes. Oh, we got to 39. And you know what? I wanted to do a third. I got it in my back pocket. I can like it myself. I have not liked this video myself. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to put it over the top. And get... Oh, no, y'all did it for me. But I still want to do that. I still want to do that myself. I am like 41. I really appreciate it, you guys. We will 100% do a third draft. I'm going to see how long it takes to fill the little board, because I know that this poll is currently at 66% on the little board, but on the big board, excuse me. But we started that poll very early. A lot of those votes were early on. And For the sake of my bankroll, I'm going to try and see if this little board can fill pretty quickly. But it's not going to do that. There's 11 spots remaining. Maybe you're one of the last people, but I know instantly I got to leave this. It's not going to work out. Not going to fill. So let's do a big board. My voice is a little bit shy. I feel like my voice is actually... Sorry. The mouse is fucking with me. But I just entered. 2 spots remaining. Sorry. 2 spots remaining. Given the delay on the live stream, hopefully that all synced up correctly. But starting soon. We pulled the 108. Once again, the 108. Didn't I mention it? Didn't I tell you earlier on in this video when we pulled up my portfolio on the solver? What is my most highest rate? I'm literally getting the 108 twice as often as I should. The average frequency should be 7 now that this draft has taken place. And this is going to be my 14th team drafting out of the 8th slot. So I've gotten some experience. I feel like you get some good values at times. I don't hate it. Of all the picks to be way overweight on in terms of just distribution and frequency, the 108 I don't hate at all. Like I don't love that I'm pretty high on pick 5, but if you were to swap pick 8 and pick 5, I'd be a bit more pissed. And then I'm also super low on pick 12, so that can't complain. But I do wish I had more in the top 4. Absolutely. But this draft is underway. The timer is there. Gibbs goes at the 101 to R. Dawes. We got Jordan Madden. Goes Bijan at 2. We got Leia in the background meowing a little bit. I am right next to Alex in at 9. But we were one of the later teams to enter this lobby, so it's possible y'all did not get in. But J1NES and then UC Bearcat. Don't think I recognize. Let me know if you're in this lobby with me. But good luck to everyone. We will go Amon-Ra. Let's do it. Never hate an Amon-Ra St. Brown team. Never gonna hate that. Just further investing in Detroit. One of the most reliable, strongest offenses in the NFL. And are they going to fix their defense? I don't think so. They're going to be in a lot of shootouts. No doubt about it. But after this pick, I will give my cat some treats. She's definitely asking for a little bit of food. And we'll give her just a quick moment on the stream before we step away. But Taylor goes at the 9. A much more fair price on Taylor. I am not convinced that he even is like a top 7 running back this year. I'm really not. Taylor scares me a little bit. But what's Alex going to do? Goes Hampton. You know, the way it worked out last time, I don't hate it. Whoa, shit. The cat just fucking... I'll go Drake London. Did you see that shit happen? That's because she fucking sat on something. All right. Time to feed her. I'll be back. My bad, my bad, my bad. Apologies. I thought it was still up. My bad. Okay. So, we did start off this evening with an elite receiver build. We took Jefferson, Neighbors, and A.J. Brown. Another 1, 2, 3. I didn't think it turned out too bad, but we did get super lucky on some of our other picks. So I might just say F it and take whoever I want, but interesting to see those teams at the bookend do get the much fairer value on McBride and Bowers. To start off, Gibbs, Bowers, Nico Collins. That feels awesome. Team 1 is in great shape, if you ask me. Love Team 1 so far. But, not sure I can afford to take T. Higgins this time. Like, it did work out, but is Bucky really going to circle back? I don't think so. That felt a little bit unlikely. What if I just take Beischel Tootin? I'm just kidding. Let's do it. Let's say fuck it. And let's say Beischel Tootin is the correct pick. And I'm going to mix him in with someone in round 4. Because the plan I was genuinely considering was to just take Beischel Tootin and pick 41. But let's get a little bit different. Probably the wrong thing. The 20-second clock. Very unique. It's the third draft, so I'm willing to mix it up. But let's just take the massive bet that Beischel Tootin is indeed the correct name. And let's get a little bit different with it with somebody in the 4th. Paired up with him. Instead of someone in the 3rd. Let's just go very different. I don't give a shit at this point. This feels like such a flat fucking tier. And I have so many T. Higgins rosters. Probably wrong. Probably very wrong. But F it. If we're going to get slappy with Beischel Tootin, let's commit. Let's fucking commit. But the only way it's really justified is if I take someone that would not have been available to pair up with him in general. Could just go Ladd McConkey. And I think I will. Ladd always going in like 35 to 42. Like never a time where Ladd is like not a clear 4th round pick. I've seen him fall to 44. I've heard people say he's fallen to 45, but never seen him at 46 or anything. So like this entire time, always in the 4th round. So there are fewer teams being drafted this week with Beischel Tootin and Ladd McConkey. Let's be a little bit different, but bold decision there. Probably stupid, probably wrong, but willing to mix it up. It's not that big of a deal. Will Dowdle rise? I think he deserves to rise. I like him personally, but I think odds are Jalen Warren's just going to fall, and then they're both just going to settle really close to each other. But personally, I think Dowdle is the more valuable one of the two. I'd rather have Dowdle for sure compared to Jalen Warren. Oh boy, that team at 2 is looking really interesting. Goes Bijan, Trey McBride, Jacobs, and Javonte Williams. That's kind of interesting. But looks like Colston Loveland finally goes to Luke Dog over there. Good price on Loveland. I'm Loveland over Burden. We did pull up Burden in the previous draft, but like just trying to mix him in because I'm super underweight. And at the 12, you can justify some weird shit. But almost took Loveland where I took Ladd McConkey in this one. Could have totally justified it, but pivoted instead. And then where's this team going to go? Waddle, sweet. Yeah, just give me the fail safe. Pull in case of emergency, DeAndre Swift in the 5th. Yeah, not gonna fuck around. These teams are fairly invested in running back already, but to assume that they're all gonna pass twice on Swift when I think he's one of the safest options at the position. I'm grateful that the team with only Henry at running back did pass on him, but he has fallen to the 6th a few times lately. I'm good, but what did you miss? I guess this whole stream, I guess. I think our first draft was really, really compelling. That one was dope. The second one, we were at the 12th slot, so it was a little different. Always kind of tough in that spot, but still pretty solid. And then I think just the monotony of drafting in the 8 slot and having so many teams that are so similar to each other. Like I have so many teams that are Amon-Ra and Hampton. I was kind of glad I didn't get Hampton. I've pulled up Derrick Henry a bunch. I'm not going to pull up Saquon. I'm not going to pull up Chase Brown, and Kenneth Walker is gone. So wanted to mix it up. I have a shit ton of Amon-Ra neighbors as well. So went London. And then we got really different with Bishal Tootin. Pick 32. Might just go Tyler Warren. But nah, let's get the elite QB before they all dry up. Give me Jaden Daniels. Yeah, let's start the run on the position. Let's go Jaden Daniels for sure. Truly elite upside with Jaden Daniels. Could be a top 3 quarterback. He's being drafted as such, but not in a massively different tier of Lamar Jackson, in my opinion, or even Josh Allen. If you go back 2 years and just look at Jaden Daniels' healthy game log, his average points per game were on par with Allen and Lamar by like within a point or 2 points. It was really not much of a difference at all with Daniels in his rookie season. So he just needs to stay healthy. His offensive play calling is a bit of a question mark, but in terms of price, we're getting Jaden Daniels 36 picks. That's 3 full rounds after Josh Allen, and then a round and a half behind Lamar Jackson. And at least in terms of like true upside, I don't see that much of a difference. Meanwhile, I'm only 5 picks ahead of Joe Burrow. And Burrow can absolutely crush any given week, but just doesn't have the rushing value of Jaden Daniels. So just a different tier altogether. But can definitely afford to pass on receiver for a minute. We have Amon-Ra, Drake London, and Ladd McConkey. Almost pulled up Tyler Warren there, but he did fall to the 7th round. If there's a pick I kind of want to change, maybe I should have taken Loveland instead of Ladd McConkey. Perhaps that would be a valuable pivot that I could have made. But the team with Loveland did pass for Burrow, did not get Caleb to circle back. The team with Rome does get Caleb Williams. And they have elite tight end. They took quarterback in the 7th round, and they have three running backs to start. So Rome better work out for Team 2. But yeah, we'll see. But seeing BTJ this low, I would have never thought this time last year. I know people feel so burned from last year, but it's crowded in Jacksonville. I think his best possible outcome is getting traded for fantasy purposes, but he still feels like a legit click. I have a bet with Jiri going on for Brian Thomas versus Parker Washington. I'm on the Brian Thomas side. And at least in that regard, I feel somewhat comfortable about it. But Metcalf did fall. I kind of don't care. I might be dead wrong on this, but this is the draft where I'm just reaching on the running back position. So, F it. Chuba Hubbard's gone. So, I'll take Rico Dowdle. In my opinion, the more valuable Pittsburgh Steelers running back. Not by a massive margin, but I think he's more talented than Jaylen Warren, higher upside, more of a workhorse capability, and also mixes in the passing game considerably well. He beat out Chuba Hubbard straight up in Carolina last year, and he's being drafted behind Chuba Hubbard. So I think he's legit. I did reach on him by, I think, a full round. What was his ADP? 93. Yeah, full round. But in all honesty, I almost just took Tucker Kraft again there at pick 80, and I kind of want to let the board decide what's going to be my next pick, because I could go tight end, I could go receiver, but having just my preference of running back that I knew I was going to take in these 2 rounds, that's perfectly fine as well. But Herbert fell back. Damn it. Yeah, I'll do that. We have Ladd McConkey. We're taking Herbert at pick 89. 100%. Beautiful. Okay. Those Dowdle spikings were nuts, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, the man can put up 200 rushing yards. The man can carry 30 touches. And I do believe he has a game against Carolina on the docket this season. I'm pretty sure that's on the schedule upcoming. So, you know, he's going off in that game. That's for sure. Similar to the Cowboys revenge game. He went off in that one last year. And then there's also the Dallas connection where Mike McCarthy is the new play caller in Pittsburgh. He's the new head coach. And Dowdle played for him in Dallas. Dowdle was the man 2 years ago for Mike McCarthy. Took a little bit to get going, but once he figured it all out, once he was the guy, they commit to him, and he had a bunch of games with over 100 total yards and like a lot of receptions. Like, Dowdle can be the guy in a major way. And that's where I'm super excited about it. It's all a wash in these last 2 rounds, because had I taken Herbert at pick 80, then Rico Dowdle, it would have been the exact same thing. So who cares in a way? But we have strong receivers with Amon-Ra, Drake London, and Ladd McConkey. I've seen Goff get sniped a bunch of times, so not going to worry on Goff. But holy shit, it might fucking happen. It might fucking happen. It almost happened 2 drafts ago. I don't think it's going to happen. I think I'm getting sniped, but this team has Fannin. Are they going to give me Tucker Kraft 104? Fuck yeah, baby. Let's effing go. Why the fuck are they falling this much? Like, Kraft was a good value in line with Fannin and Tyler Warren. I'm so glad I passed on Tyler Warren for Jaden Daniels. And then the price we just got on Tucker Kraft kind of like negates some of the discount on Bishal Tootin in a way. But like, sweet. Holy shit. All 3 of the last picks I made, I could have made at pick 80. Like, literally, I could have gone Kraft and Herbert at pick 80. And then Dowdle there at 89. But in that order, fucking beautiful. The way that worked out feels awesome. Kyle Pitts finally goes 107. And that's pretty dope. S. Dot, happy to pull up Ladd behind Tet. That whole tier feels kind of the same to me. I think it's kind of a wash. I think it's... Ladd feels a little expensive, but just to bet on the Chargers offense at all feels really good. So the excuse to take Herbert there at a nice value does pay off in the long run. Daniel's absolutely so underrated, just injury concern. But Peppertoni fimpsed yet again. Laporta does go. I was wondering where Laporta was going to go. Honestly, I would have taken Laporta there at 113. and said thank you very much, everyone. But Jordan Love goes, and Jared Goff is still sitting there on the board. But am I going overboard by taking Jared Goff here? I think I am. I only have 3 receivers. I'm going to take Jalen Coker and just stay balanced. We are walking a tightrope. Yes, the Jared Goff correlation does make sense. But I already have Jaden Daniels. I already have Justin Herbert. And this is a room that was kind of ignoring the quarterback position for a minute. There's some really interesting good values across the board. That team with JMO fucking passes. That's crazy. The team with Josh Allen takes Dalton Kincaid instead of Jared Goff. Their only running back is Kyle Monangai. They have Jamison Williams. I have no envy for the team at 5. None whatsoever. I took Byshel Tootin to pick 32. I like my team better than the team with Josh Allen that started 5 out of 6 receivers. But Angus, appreciate you, man. Love the music. Yeah, the music is clutch. Thank you, Jamie, for the music. If you're still watching, music adds such a extra layer to the production value. But I have a couple builds with Jefferson and Chase and Jefferson and Lamb. That must be nice. Damn, Jefferson and Chase. Holy shit. Jefferson and Lamb, I can see being a bit more common. But Jefferson and Chase, damn. That should be good. I think all Jacksonville receivers are overpriced, but I like the offense a lot, so I tend to grab the cheaper ones later on. Yeah, they all feel a little bit overpriced. I think Trevor Lawrence is the main way I'd like to acquire pieces of the Jacksonville offense. I think that's the most valuable of them all. But very interesting room. Goff finally goes. Yeah, for the integrity of the draft, thank you, Team 4. Snipes the team with JMO on Goff. But interesting situation here. This team has made some odd calls at times. Goes Rashad White. That's where I was going to go. The fair decision. Think I'm just going to take Mike Washington then. Get in where I can. Not the top of full ADP, but top of the running back room ADP. We're just going to take Mike Washington. Stay balanced. That is the mantra at this moment. We got in a bit of a pickle with running back there. And I just didn't want to take Kyron. We got Bucky to fall late. And, like, at this point, everyone's reaching on Byshel Tootin. So, like, who the fuck cares? I'm going to throw my hands up in terms of the Byshel Tootin investment. If there's a team where I'm going to commit to him like crazy, like, let's fucking go for it. But in general, I would never fucking do this. Probably the reason this team doesn't work out, ultimately. But ultimately, who cares? It's not that much different than taking Ladd over Tet and T. Higgins and then just taking Tootin at pick 41. But T. Higgins was probably the correct pick. Probably could have gotten Tootin instead of Ladd. But we wound up with the stack when it was all said and done. So who cares? All works out for the sake of the build. And the stream. But if you don't like it, now you know not to do it. Now you've learned from my mistake. That's the beauty of it. But in general, yes, I fully agree with this. You want to get the ADP value. Get the discount when you can. We did not do that at all with Byshel Tootin. Ignored that entirely with Byshel Tootin. Otherwise, that's been mostly the direction, other than the Rico Dowdle selection. Everything's just been in line with ADP. Or a bit late, but Sadiq is available. That's not terrible. Running back options are gross. Quarterback feels strong. We just took Mike Washington. Stay balanced. Let's get the value in Kenyon Sadiq. 8 picks past ADP feels pretty legit. Should be drafted round 1. That value is going to move up the board. And at this point, to tell me I'm getting Sadiq after Travis Kelce, that feels like a very, very legitimate, fully correct logic. It feels like the correct way to approach it. Higher upside than Kelsey, but a bit more risk than Kelsey. Now that we know that Kelsey is back. But Best Ball Q says, got a Chase and Achane start in the little board. That's not bad. That's pretty crazy. Holy shit. Achane fell to pick 21? Damn, son. That's nice. The little board has some wild outcomes. Wild over there. But thoughts on Marvin Harrison? Probably overpriced. I almost never take him. I barely ever take Michael Wilson. But if I'm taking one of the two, it's definitely Michael Wilson a little bit later. Like in this lobby, Harrison goes 68, Michael Wilson 87. I'd rather have the price on Michael Wilson. I think they both should fall. Like, I don't trust it, man. Losing Drew Petzing, I think, is a little bit underrated in terms of how it impacts that offense for fantasy. I don't think it's the most beneficial outcome to lose that play caller. But their new play caller is linked to Sean McVay, so that's probably not the end of the world. Probably doesn't matter at all. But my receiver room is so strong on this team with Amon-Ra, Drake London, Ladd McConkey, Jalen Coker. At the top, it feels really legit. So Debo goes. Kind of wanted to get the value. For me right here, it's between Omar Cooper Jr. and Jonathan Brooks. It's a decision of, am I feeling desperate enough at running back where I need Jonathan Brooks? And honestly, I kind of do. But we made such a big consolidated bet on Baishal Tutin. I'm just going to bet that carries over, and I need to get back in at receiver inevitably before it really gets disgusting. So maybe I get lucky. Maybe he circles back, but Alex is watching, and he's right behind me. He did go Daniel Jones, but he has 5 running backs. The team on the clock right now, UC Bearcat only had 3. But some teams around this corner have invested enough at running back where I might get lucky. We got Scott E. Willis with 5 running backs already for the build. It probably doesn't make the most sense, but could just call it done with 6. And then UC Bearcat, we'll see what happens. But they started off Love, Bucky Irving, Cam Scadaboo. Who knows? Goes James Conner. The number 45 like. Beautiful. Damn. We're in good. Hell to the yes. What a nice outcome. Beautiful. Jonathan Brooks circles back. Made the correct choice there. Maybe they would have let Omar Cooper Jr. circle back, but I don't think that would have happened. Doubt it. But Achane is going to be 3rd round pick, or at least I feel he should be. Angus taking a strong stance that we are all wrong about Achane. Very interesting. At some point, Angus will be on the channel. Angus has been on the channel before. Angus will be back on the channel. But at some point, we will get a more fleshed out explanation. Could have gone Okonkwo. Honestly, I have not been in the mindset of pulling up Okonkwo that much. I watch them draft Kenyon Sadiq or something. Watch something crazy like that happen. And Okonkwo is just like, oh, fuck. That was terrible. But I did have Jaden Daniels. It would have made sense. But our tight end room is strong enough where it's not that important. I'm happy we got sniped on Love because that would have been a bad decision. We got sniped on Jared Goff after passing on him multiple times. And honestly, it's not the end of the world. Just glad that Goff didn't go to the Jameson Williams team. That team ends up stuck with Mendoza around later. Did snipe me on Oronde Gadsden, but that's fine. Who do you think the wide receiver 1 right now is in the Chargers offense? I mean, depth chart wise, it's Ladd McConkey, but it's not Ladd by a wide margin. Like, it's actually very close. I wouldn't bet that Trey Harris can take over, but I think Trey Harris is going to be a big thorn in your side this season. Whoever is the third receiver is going to be very annoying to whoever you invest in as the Chargers receiver 1, which should be Ladd McConkey. They're the most amount of games where Ladd is like the most heavily targeted and most consistent and high upside of the 3. Ladd McConkey literally is the number 1, but is he that much more valuable than where Quentin Johnston is going? By comparison, I'm not that convinced, in all honesty. And then if you tell me that Keenan Allen signs, then Ladd is going to be falling significantly. But I don't really want them to bring in Ladd. I wanted them to trade for Brian Thomas Jr. or A.J. Brown even, but Brian Thomas Jr. would be amazing if they could acquire. Whoops. Am I falling into the Tyreek Hill value? Probably not. Probably not. Think I'll push him. Damn, I wanted Kayshon Boutte. In that case, I think I'll just go Trey Harris for that stack. I just mentioned it. I think he's more valuable than we're giving him credit for. And at the moment, there is no free agent receiver that has came to threaten him. The Chargers had a lot of money in free agency. I'm a little bit surprised they didn't spend any on receiver yet, but they always kind of slow play it, especially with Joe Ortiz these last couple years. They've been slow playing it in free agency. And they drafted Trey Harris second round for a reason. He developed pretty well in the background last year. Never really got much opportunity on the field, but reportedly he never really dropped a pass. Even in like practice, he was very sure-handed, but just a crowded room above him. And there's always a chance that they just trade Quentin Johnston for a non-receiver. You know, like they could just trade away Quentin Johnston, and that'd be beautiful for Trey Harris's value. But we have Herbert. Definitely a stack is warranted. Not bad at all. Running back here starting to get pretty gross, though. Tank Bigsby did go, so my boy is not available. However, we're getting a pretty solid fall on A.J. Barner. Nice. And he is very legit. There is some risk with the rookie just not panning out his first year in the league. Receivers gross, running backs gross. I'll take the falling value on A.J. Barner for sure. Lock up that third tight end for the sake of the build. We need at least 5 picks devoted to quarterback and tight end. And I might just stop with 2 quarterbacks, to be honest with you. Jaden Daniels, Justin Herbert could just work out. We have 4 picks left. We got a nice value on A.J. Barner. And we're trying to stay balanced. We're done at that position with 4 picks left. Chigo Okonkwo was already taken, so didn't really have the option of stacking him up, but that would have been nice instead of Trey Harris there or Barner. But good price on Barner for sure. And he's a legit click, absolutely. I think he's totally legit. But Angus says, I also feel Oronde Gadsden will be very involved in basically the Waller role for last year. Yeah, Gadsden's also super underrated. Definitely a thorn in your side. And then it's also just a Jim Harbaugh offense that ideally would like to run the ball like crazy. You know, ideally, they would like to have like 20 plus running back touchdowns distributed in that backfield. So I think Omarion Hampton is still being slept on a little bit, even though he's going super high. I guess not that much, top of round 2, but I think Hampton could be the RB3 in terms of value this year, legitimately possible. And he's not going there. That would impact all of the passing game numbers across the board. But at the moment, Ladd is absolutely the most valuable. Quentin Johnston is still holding some value. I have too much Quentin Johnston, so I'm not taking him very much anymore. I'm trying to just fade him a little bit. But if QJ falls considerably, I am willing to take him. Like the other day, I got Quentin Johnston at pick 108, 109. At that stage, I'll just take him. In this draft, Quentin Johnston went 101. So a little bit later, but still. An extra 7 picks after what's already a discounted price on Quentin Johnston. But Yeah, Chargers passing game was on point until Alt got hurt. They had an actual left tackle at that point. Not only is Alt coming back, but so is Rashawn Slater. 2 Pro Bowl tackles. Gonna bolster that production. Also in the run game. Jerome Ford got taken. Okay, interesting. What is J1 NES gonna do? Could go Trey Tucker here. Could take Brian Robinson. I'm fine with either. And takes Njoku. I mean, running back is such a crapshoot, but I need more of them. We got 4 picks left. It's 2 running backs, 2 receivers the rest of the way. I'll go Trey Tucker. Pretty solid falling value. I still think relatively valuable. I know they brought in Naylor and everyone's clicking Naylor instead, but like, I don't know. I'm willing to take a swing on Trey Tucker also, but might be regretting my running back room a little bit. Unless he drops to round 3, I will have 0 exposure. That's fine. That's fine to disagree. I'm obviously biased. I'm very bullish. I think both values are valid. I think when you consider who's going top of round 3 at running back, Josh Jacobs, Travis Etienne, I can't definitively say that Hampton is like assuredly going to be more valuable than them. But if everything goes correctly for Hampton, he can 100% be the most valuable running back after the top 2 get taken. 100%. But some of the arguments for that to occur are kind of like poking holes in the other one as well. Like, I think the RB3 is like so hard to actually pin down at the moment. There's some more likely candidates, but no one is promising. Look at that. Brian Robinson circles back. So top of the queue on the last pick for the 2nd time in a row. Played that properly. Took the wide receiver above the running back, and around this turn it did pay off. With Omar Cooper Jr. and Brooks there at 161, and then Trey Tucker, Brian Robinson at 200, 209. Top of ADP both times. Beautiful. That's me, bud. Yeah, we fucking sent it. Pick 32. Did it as a joke, and then, you know, try to talk myself into it. I'm not gonna do it again, but like, whatever. We'll see how that works out. But Who Hames, welcome in, man. Good to see you. Currently can't listen, but I've been here. No worries. Thoughts on Ken Walker now? Now it's a little bit pricey for the sake of the contest, but I don't think it's terrible. I think he's legitimately just in that tier now. I think he's not that much different than Derrick Henry, Saquon, and Hampton, and Jeremiah Love. I think I'd rather have Hampton than Kenneth Walker. I'd rather have Genty, but Walker versus Love at the moment, not totally sure. I think I kind of lean Walker. And then versus Derrick Henry, you could tell me Henry's more valuable, but not by a lot. I think it's the same tier. And then Saquon, same tier. Chase Brown, I don't think is as valuable, but he plays for the Chiefs, and Andy Reid, running back, can absolutely crush. And they brought in Justin Fields for a reason. Maybe Mahomes is just not going to be as mobile, maybe not going to be fully healthy week 1. I think he's going to be fine overall, but maybe they just want to take more off of his plate, run the ball a little bit more, and yeah. It's like when an actor researches too hard for a role, committing to the bit a little too much. Is that my Beischel Tootin click? The Beischel Tootin click doesn't feel awesome. No. But we got desperate. Got very desperate, but maybe I just go LeQuint. First, I think I'm going to take Malik Washington. Solid floor play, I think, at receiver with some legit upside. And I think the room I have, I think I already have a big upside swing with Trey Tucker. Trey Harris, a lot of variables. Omar Cooper, a lot of variables. Coker feels fine as the fourth, given who I have up top. With Amon-Ra, Drake London, Ladd McConkey, it's all fine. But some odd bets in the middle there. And I think Malik is just like very rarely going to go over 15. But when you just need someone with like 10, 11, 12 to just get you by randomly, I think Malik Washington, going this late, is a solid advance rate piece for the room. I like him a little bit more than just a random rookie. But, yeah, we'll see. His running style is scary. I believe this is in regard to Hampton, like watching high-speed car crashes. I mean, isn't that the entire NFL in general? But I'm not too worried about it. I think he'll be fine. Where did Najee go? Right before me at 223. But LeQuint still on the board. Could go Jordan James. I think, given the bet on Bishal Tootin, I'm just going to bet that he's not going to give up any valuable touches to LeQuint. Instead, I'll go Jordan James and just make a bet against Christian McCaffrey. Let's say CMC gets hurt and you need Jordan James. He is the handcuff. Might not be the handcuff, might be someone else. But at this point, Brian Robinson is kind of live to just return to the Niners, perhaps. So that's definitely possible. But let's go Jordan James, assuming that doesn't happen. And James is just the leader on the depth chart. Like, some of these names are flying up the board. And at the moment, Jordan James is just the handcuff to McCaffrey. He should probably be moving up as well. But yeah, the Bishal Tootin bet is gross, but just like is what it is. Unique. And we're just making a bet that, like, I've faded him so much in the past. What if all of those teams are just buried because we don't have Bishal Tootin? He's just the guy you need, and he's actually going to be that good that he would pay off at that high of a price. But, like, yeah. Weird, tough spot at the 8. Got a little bit cute, a little bit bored. Probably should have just taken Kyron Williams and called it a day. But don't think it's atrocious. I think I'm still competitive here. But let's take a look at the full roster. We are in the 8 slot, 2783, Jaden Daniels, Justin Herbert. Running backs, Bishal Tootin, DeAndre Swift, Rico Dowdle, Mike Washington Jr., Jonathan Brooks. Major swing on Brooks. Last draft, we took him 133. This time we get him 161. So just depends on the room what the price will be. But I see him in the 140s quite often lately. Brian Robinson at 209. Nice little discount on B-Rob super late. Might be worthless, though. He might do nothing. And then Jordan James, final round. Needed a 7th for sure. Willing to take a gamble. But honestly, the top 3 I think are okay. And as long as I'm correct on both Rico Dowdle and Bishal Tootin in this one, these are some very bold stakes, some strong stances. But if they do work out, I think I'll be in good shape. But receiver room, pretty strong at the top. Okay in terms of depth. But Amon-Ra, Drake London feels very nice. Ladd McConkey stacked up with Herbert. That's pretty dope. Jalen Coker, Omar Cooper Jr. Trey Harris also stacked up with Herbert. And then Trey Tucker, so double Treys at 176 and 200. And then Malik Washington to round it out. Solid depth. Just need the top 2 to really carry me for the most part, and then the right guys to hit at the correct time. But tight end room super balance feels really solid. Feels really good, actually. Tucker Kraft, Kenyon Sadiq, and AJ Barner. That feels great. We also got Kraft at pick 104. Fucking crazy. 17 pick fall on Tucker Kraft. Fannin went 79. I took Dowdle. And then even passed again with Herbert. And then crazy shit happened where Kraft fell to 104. I almost got Laporta at 113. That would have been crazy. But even Goff fell super late. Goff went 124 in this lobby. Weird things did happen. I took Tootin at pick 32. Some weird shit in this one. But Alex was in here right behind us. He went Taylor, Hampton, Kyron, Rashi Rice, Christian Watson, Metcalf at receiver with RJ Harvey. So a little risky at receiver with such a big commitment at running back. Mahomes with Rashi, Tony Pollard, pick 105. Did snipe me on Jordan Love, but had Christian Watson, so was the correct click, I suppose. Then has Josh Downs, Travis Kelce for the stack, Daniel Jones as well, Juwan Johnson, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Naylor, Mason Taylor, and then Jeremy Bernard, Chris Brazzell, Dontavian Wicks. Interesting team from Alex there. Quarterback, not afraid of the injuries, I suppose, but is risky a little bit in that regard. Good luck with Daniel Jones, but then really good at running back, stopped with Pollard, so totally legit. As long as Rashee Rice works out, then the room is strong, but some of the names are very, very risky. Like, if Rashi doesn't pan out, then I think this team is going to have a very hard time to advance, in all honesty. Like, it all hinges on Rashi, because honestly, there's a lot hinging on just Tyreek Hill as well. Really risky receiver room, but tight end room is pretty solid for waiting quite a bit. Always can piece it together at tight end, and this team just has a big bet on Mahomes and just the Chiefs. If the Chiefs are fine, then this team's in business, but maybe running back is just so good. Maybe Kyron Williams was such a good pick that you are by far and away a better team than mine. Good luck, Alex. Good luck there. But otherwise, I think we saw Luke Dog in here, but not fully sure. Oh, you're good, Fantasy Dog. No worries, man. Is that you, Luke, at Luke Dog? I'm not sure, but yes, Hartman's in here. Shamrock, I'm scared of drafting rookies after last year's turnouts. Can't be too scared, man. Sometimes it really works out. Sometimes they're the guys you need. But all points matter at all times. Hi, anyways. Never thought of taking Tootin in T-Law stack. Nah, I haven't thought of that too much either. But can't say I like it myself as well. Yeah. Is this your team that you're talking about, Alex? I think your team is okay. It's just receiver is just so fucking risky. So much on Rashee Rice feels gross. But everything else feels good. Everything else is fine. Quarterback, I guess, a little bit tricky. Either great outcomes or terrible outcomes. No in between. No in between on that bet. Either everything goes well or nothing does. But running back probably saves you a little bit. Anyways, I think that's going to be it. I think we're done. And with that in mind, we'll take one last smoke break before we go. One last one before I say goodbye. Peace out, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. 45 likes. That's, I believe, a high that I've had on the live streams. I don't think I've had a live stream with more than 45 likes in the past. So really appreciate y'all for pulling through for me there. And it was a lot of fun. We had some good teams, but that last one, boy, sure hope Beischel Tootin is the correct pick. One final reminder on how that team did go. I think there's a mosquito that got in my room. I felt like I just got bit by a mosquito, unfortunately. But okay, here's our final roster. We have Jaden Daniels, Justin Herbert, Beischel Tootin, DeAndre Swift, Rico Dowdle, Mike Washington, Jonathan Brooks, Brian Robinson, Jordan James, wide receiver Amon-Ra, Drake London, Ladd McConkey, Jalen Coker, Omar Cooper, Trey Harris, Trey Tucker, Malik Washington, and then tight ends Tucker Kraft, Kenyon Sadiq, and AJ Barner. Balanced, solid. Running back is interesting. Anyways, that's it for me. I'll see you next time. Goodbye. Peace out. I'll see y'all tomorrow with special guest Young Moolah on the channel. Later. Goodbye.